Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the T&T Podcast. And we got a good one here for you today. Torres, first and foremost, how's it going, man?
What's up, baby? Happy to be back, man. Yes, sir. What a wild week.
What a wild weekend. And since with such a wild weekend, we had to bring on the goal line stand. Kobe Reed, Jackson Cardell. What's going on, fellas?
I've seen better days, brother. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I think this is the most I've been on like consecutively. Like I feel like I'm hitting a new high because sometimes we go like 5 months without seeing each other, and like my third show going this month.
I don't know. I feel like it was warranted.
That probably is, and Jackson, some of that probably is my fault. Not being available as much, but definitely,
he's just going out there getting UFC contracts.
Celebrity status.
Y'all have definitely been doing a really, really great job.
Slight flex.
Whenever I have been doing absent, so y'all. That last show 2 weeks ago before that was a great show when y'all making those predictions. That was good. That was a really good show, especially that one. Kobe making some of these Alabama predictions in the future that I was like, but I'm not gonna lie to you, I was agreeing with him because I didn't see what happened this weekend to happen. I mean, no. I didn't.
Did not see it happening either, man. And I guess before we crank into college football, I'll give a shout out to Torres' brother. Winning his game, Northeast, winning their game against Lamar County.
Northeast in the Elite Eight. That's right.
There you go.
That's them. Yep, and then also shout out as well, Thomas County Central. Former head coach for me, to Coach Rogers. He's in the Elite Eight. What crazy thing about it? Their entire division, Lee County, Thomas County, Houston County, and Coffee are all
crazy
in the Elite Eight. And what's also crazy, since they moved down to 6A, now there's no more 7A. Coffee, Thomas County, and Milton are all former return state champions from 7, 6, and 5A from last year, and they're all now one big division. And there's a possibility you could have 3 returning state champions from the highest classification in Georgia, all in the Final Four after next week. So that's pretty neat. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
crazy.
There's a lot of good ball.
I've been trying to keep up with some Warner Robins. They got knocked out, didn't they?
Yeah, they
lost to Marist.
First round knocked down.
So that's who Marist beat before they got Jones County.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Okay, I should have talked to you about that before this weekend. Okay, then. Well, let's swing it into a wild weekend of college football, and there are so many ways. There's so many ways to start this off. I don't know, Kobe. Do you want to rip the Band-Aid off? Do you want to start us off here, man?
I mean, I can if you want me to.
You got the background. Go ahead and take the stage.
Listen, somebody's got to get mad, and somebody's got to rip this offense a new one. I just didn't see it. I didn't see enough butt chewings this year, and I think it really came back to bite us. I mean, let's look at the bigger picture here. Did we really expect Kalen DeBoer to go undefeated his first year? No. Did we think he could win a national championship in his first year? He could, but that's a outlandish expectation for anybody in their first year.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, I'm not going to sit there and say Kalen DeBoer better figure it out in year 2. I'm willing to give him time. I think he's shown and proven enough that he's Alabama's guy. I mean, Nick Saban and Kirby Smart in their first years at their respective schools, they only won, 7 games, 6 games, if that. Kalen DeBoer won 8. Nobody won more than that. You know what I mean? Like, other teams would pay to have a first-year head coach do what he did in his first year. But with that being said, Jalen Milroe, I appreciate you and everything you have done for the University of Alabama, but you got to go, brother. I'm sorry. I think you have peaked, and I appreciate you preventing Georgia from getting a 3-peat. I appreciate your contributions, brother. But it's time to go. You need to get in the draft, or you need to hit that portal. But at the end of the day, Kalen DeBoer, he needs to get his guys in there. Right now, he needs to create his own program. Right now, he's just running Nick Saban's program, but we've all said it. Nobody can replace Nick Saban. I think Kalen DeBoer needs to look elsewhere at his offense coordinator and defense coordinators. I think both of his coordinators were guys he kind of had to settle for. Because if you remember, he hired his OC that was going to come with him from Washington, but he got picked up by the Seattle Seahawks. I mean, there was a lot of turnover, and I think Kalen DeBoer did the best with what he could. But you cannot tell me that Nick Sheridan was his best pick for OC. You know what I mean? That's just, you can't tell me that. I think you need to look elsewhere. I mean, there was no offensive adjustments. I think we've seen a lot of times this year there's no defensive adjustments. Vanderbilt and Oklahoma had the same blueprint. They beat Bama the same way. You have a running quarterback. You run the same 9 plays over and over and over. Bama doesn't adjust, and you just keep going until you win. So at the end of the day, I think we have to establish a true running game. I think we have one of the most talented running back rooms in the country. There's no reason for our two starting running backs combined to have less rushing attempts than our starting quarterback. There's no excuse for that whatsoever. Yeah. There's no excuse for running a QB counter on a 3rd and 10 while Oklahoma has 7 people down on the line of scrimmage. There's no excuse for that kind of stuff. I think that all starts with Kalen DeBoer getting his couple recruiting classes in there, getting a Keelan Russell in there, getting his OCs and DCs right. I think we have to give him his proper respect and grace and give him time like we've given a Norvell or we've given a Napier or we even gave Kirby his first 3 years. You know what I mean? I think you got to show him that little bit of grace.
Yeah. I can agree. I mean, he did inherit. I feel like he inherited a little bit. Well, he inherited a great situation. I mean, Kirby did as well for the most part. Kirby inherited a pretty good one. I think maybe you could say even DeBoer more so, but he did lose some through the portal because the portal wasn't a thing back when Kirby did it. What y'all reminded me of last night is how we looked against Ole Miss. That's really kind of how it favored, in my opinion. Like you couldn't really stop any bit of run. To me, but like the trenches you were losing big time on. Your 2 tackles. Golly, I was saying the right tackle sucked. Even the left tackle that's so highly heralded, he wasn't really looking good. It was pretty bad. And I will say, so far this season, the recipe for success has been getting Jalen Milroe going and using his legs. So, I mean, I kind of see where they were going with that, trying to get it established early, but it really wasn't working. And then once they kind of saw that it wasn't working, they didn't really do nothing different about it. I will ask you this. I want to ask you this one thing because I know there's some people out there, every week you're going to see some fans from different teams that come out and say, oh, if this would have went our way, then it would have been a different ball game. We would have won. Do you think that blown call, because everybody agrees it was a kind of a sucky call, do you think that call cost you the game?
No. One blown call doesn't cost a 23-point butt whooping.
That's a good answer.
One missed call doesn't allow you to get beat by 3 touchdowns. Now, with that being said, was there enough time? Was there enough time if that play had been made? Because if you got to think that if that touchdown counts, we're only down 10 with about 11 minutes left in the 4th quarter. Could we have had enough time to come back? Yes. But should we have ever been in the position to where we were down by 3 scores in the 4th quarter to begin with? No, there's no excuse. No. I mean, there was a couple missed calls by the ref. I'm willing to say that. But they didn't cost us that game. We just simply got beat,
Yeah.
And another thing is like, that's one of the things, like, looking at this Alabama team this year, like, for its entirety. You saw, like, throughout this game, it was weird because there was a lot of opportunities that Oklahoma miscalculated on throughout the game. Like,
for sure.
The
beginning of the game.
Fumble.
Early turnovers, beginning of the game.
The wild
missed touchdown.
The tight end
missed field goal
turned into a missed field goal. This wasn't like a complete domination, and it was rare to sit here and see an Oklahoma team that's been struggling all year long, man.
All year,
yeah.
And for them to be able to run the ball efficiently like they was able to do against, I mean, I knew it was going to be we talked about it on here. We knew it would be a little tough, but I felt like Alabama was just going to pull away eventually in the 2nd, maybe in the 3rd.
Yeah.
I didn't think it would continue to prolong like this. And then the Steve Milroe continued to keep playing the way that he kept playing and not like, where's the adjustment? Like I feel like Kalen DeBoer was really brought in. He's that offensive type guru type of guy to be able to really change this offense, especially with these weapons. I know it's not his guys. I agree. Because, and that's a real thing. It depends on what type of guys you have to fit.
Still got good guys on that offense though. They got some really good talent.
Of course.
But not everybody fits everybody's system though. So that's
true.
Thing.
True.
And I think a prime example of that is I think Kalen DeBoer wants to have a more athletic and more mobile offensive line so he can do a little bit more of the creative stuff on the front. Meanwhile, he's got those tractor trailers sitting up there.
Yes.
6'5",
country cornbread.
He can't do what he wants to do mobility-wise with that offensive line. I think that plays a huge part because that's
true.
Your play call right there.
He wants them Sam Pittman type boys.
Yeah.
That's
You know what
what
I'm
he
saying?
wants.
Like Caden Proctor
Some
is built
houses.
like a brick house. You know what I mean? Like he's not moving like Kalen DeBoer wants him to. I think that's a prime example of what Torres is saying. But also, just let me ask y'all this: is Jalen Milroe the worst quarterback in the Saban era?
No.
I don't think so.
No, Coker to me personally.
Yeah.
The fact
I
that
trusted Coker in the fourth quarter to deliver, and
you want to know why? Look what was in your
multiple
backfield.
times.
Look what was in your backfield. Yeah,
Even then, he had multiple touchdowns against Georgia. He had multiple touchdowns in a playoff game against Michigan State.
You never seen him peak like Milroe peak though, bro.
Yeah.
When Milroe is hitting, when Milroe is on, that sucker is unstoppable. Like it is like ridiculous. It is OP, bro. Like it's like video game stuff.
But with that being said, if Tua was down, I trusted Tua to at least get it back.
Of course.
If Mac Jones was down, I trusted.
We're gonna get to that, Chase. We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to Jackson Dart.
If
Just
Bryce Young
wait.
was down, I trusted Bryce Young to go 97 yards in a minute and 17 seconds. I didn't trust Milroe to come back in this game. I didn't after watching Vanderbilt, and I was just waiting on Milroe to make a play. I was waiting on somebody to make a play, and it never happened. I knew in this game by the third quarter that Milroe wasn't going to win us this game. We were going to have to change something. Defense.
Well, let's go back a little bit because there were at times where I was a little bit disappointed. Now, I'm not going to really put too much. You can put something on the defense to allow like Oklahoma to run on you, but those two pick sixes, one pick six and then another pick, like that changed the game. When you put your defense in the field, it's hard to stop.
Yeah.
But there are times throughout this year, yes, y'all won that game against Georgia, but the Georgia game, the Vandy game, South Carolina, the second half of those games, it's a complete flip. The defense I don't know what it is in the second half when their defense plays against some of these offenses. And we've seen that consistently be a change. And that was one of those points where I was like, man, I think teams like this can really throw on Alabama. I felt like Alabama defensively on the back end in the passing area was their flaw. What we saw yesterday, was
QB run.
And the QB run, and I'm like, it's very inconsistent.
It reminded me literally a lot of what gives Georgia issues. It's containing the edge and then a quarterback that can pick up. Like I told my wife was actually very engaged. I got to give her some props, man. She was very engaged in the game last night, and it was awesome. I'll brag on her for a minute. She told me earlier, she's like, yeah, I got into this game, that game. We watched the field storming at Arizona State and all this. She was having a good old time. But I told her, I was like, you better get used to what you're seeing from Oklahoma because Haynes King's about to do that this Friday against Georgia. And I see Jackson over there shaking his head. Yeah. But, Jackson, did you have anything you wanted to add to the game?
Well, last night was the perfect reminder that Brent Venables is maybe the best defensive mind in college football. I know
he's up there.
Huge shout out to that defense.
Yeah, he had Jalen Milroe in hell all night.
Yeah. Yes, he did.
That was one of the best defensive game plans I've seen.
Them boys were hunting.
Yeah, and Oklahoma's defense is good, but last night really kind of reminded people how good of a defensive coach is. What would y'all have said to me if I told y'all last week that Jackson Arnold was going to outrush Jalen Milroe in this game?
You're smoking crack.
Yeah. They were going to win, and he was only going to have 60 yards passing.
I'm telling you, it's the exact blueprint we saw versus Vanderbilt and Pavia. It was the same exact game.
Good way to put that. I think about
that game.
How many yards did Pavia pass for in that game, though? I thought he passed a little better.
It was more than Arnold.
Yeah, Pavia is able to kind of at least throw the ball. I think they knew what they were working with. They knew Arnold's limitations.
Pavia had 252.
Yeah. So pretty big difference on that one, but yeah.
And also, John Parker Wilson is the worst Bama quarterback in the Saban era.
There you go.
Way back.
He was pretty big. Yeah, he's pretty bad.
Y'all leave my boy alone, man.
He there's no lie on that one.
But that was my biggest takeaway from last night. Brent Venables is a heck of a defensive coach, and just my goodness, Selection Sunday is going to be insane. It's going the back half right now, and then there could be more to come. There's still some scenarios out there where things could happen, and it's going to be crazy because it's weird to say, but Alabama probably should be done, but they're not. and we can.
I was going to ask you that.
Like
They're done.
it's so hard to say who's done and who's not because like going into yesterday, like I would have told you the ACC's getting one team in. There's 0 chance they get 2. Now after yesterday, I'm like, okay, if Miami and
They
SMU
could get 2 to
meet up
3.
at 11-1, and they're both 11-1, like the loser cannot be punished and get left out for a 3-loss SEC team. It just
I'm telling you this though, South Carolina is the best 3-loss team in the country.
yeah, but they also have 3 losses. Like I mean, that to me that.
I like them. I like their playoff chances over Alabama right now.
But see, my thing with South Carolina is yes, they have 3 losses, but like
That's a good thought.
Ole Miss and Alabama do too, and they both beat South Carolina. I mean, Ole Miss killed South Carolina. Like, are we just throwing that out the door completely?
Can't throw that one out.
Like, that's what I'm saying. I don't buy the South Carolina stuff as much as they're playing great right now. I'm not saying they're not.
They
Like,
are.
losses have to matter. Like, and they, like
Yeah.
they killed.
Well, I mean, if you're talking about losses that matter, then I mean, if you're saying Bama's still in it, they lost to 2 unranked teams.
No, I'm not saying they're in. I'm just saying it wouldn't surprise me if some things fell a certain way that, like, you got to put 12 teams in it. And, like, if you're sitting there finding out that last team, you're probably going to have some 3-loss teams are going to be in the discussion. Like, if South Carolina beats Clemson, they'll be in the discussion. I'm not
They
saying
will
they're-
definitely be discussed. Yes.
Alabama will
Winner of South
probably be in the discussion because they beat South Carolina. So will Ole Miss. And, like, I don't love that, but it just probably is what it is.
Well, let me throw out a question. I mean, like a scenario almost. So you have all of these teams obviously having to win to necessarily get in. I think we're pretty confident that like 2 is automatically in. For sure, Oregon or Ohio State, regardless of what happens.
Yeah, I think technically they have 99% chance of making it. Is what
I
I
don't
saw.
see either one of those teams missing it. So, it then comes down to what conference are you going to allow to have another one? Yes, we know the Big Ten is going to have multiple. Yes, we know the SEC is going to have multiple. But I feel like, I might sound crazy to this, but I think the winner and the loser of the ACC championship game will get in, whether it's Miami or SMU. I think winner or loser, because we're at this point now where who else? Like who else?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the reason why I didn't like the 12 team.
If Clemson
They both
beats-
earned that.
If Clemson beats South Carolina and SMU beats Miami, is there a chance all 3 of those teams can make it back into the playoffs?
There is.
Yeah,
There
I was
is.
thinking about that today. It's crazy because of what happened yesterday. But yeah, if Miami and SMU meet up, and SMU beats Miami, and it's a really close game, it just comes down to Clemson obviously knocked South Carolina out, and then it's Clemson.
And that South Carolina win would hold some weight, like you're saying, Kobe, because South Carolina's a pretty good team.
The only other thing with Clemson is like the rest of their wins are bad. Like they don't have good wins, and one they got. Like, there's no shame in losing to Georgia, but that game was bad. And then they lost to Louisville by 11 points, and then Louisville turned around and lost to Stanford. Like that's your calls.
But see now looking at bad losses, some of these, the way we used to look at bad losses, you have to sometimes take it away now, because nearly everybody's got a bad loss. If we're talking about bad losses, look where Notre Dame is at. Technically,
don't get me started on that.
You know, but granted, Notre Dame do got 4 ranked wins. So that
I mean, just look at Texas. I mean, you lost big at home in your biggest game of the year, and you have no
their best win is
confident win behind that. Vanderbilt's your best win on the year.
And
it's pretty crazy to think about, honestly.
What's crazy is them winning at Texas A&M just solidifies them regardless. They can lose this championship, be good. Or they can go ahead and lose this upcoming week and still be good. And it would be better for them to do that because they'll still make the playoff regardless. They're in a really, really good position where teams like A&M have to win. In my opinion, I do feel like a team like Georgia has to win. Now, we did argue, like after going back and looking at how everything has been unfolded, I did argue that a 3-loss team won't make it in. But it does get to the point. Man, how many left? Like, good Lord.
Yeah.
There's nobody there that is supposed to. Tennessee will jump in, and then you're not going to throw in another, Big 12 team. All them guys got multiple losses. So it's it's wild. And that's the reason why 12 teams. This is one of the reasons why, man. Because now we're digging at the bottom of the barrel to put somebody in the playoff just to make it 12 teams. And
it may depend on what the score of that game is and everything like that too. Like how you lose that conference championship game and stuff like that. So
the only conference. So if we were talking about if the conference champion. Whoever loses should still get in. I don't think that's true about A&M at all. Like if A&M would, even if they beat lose supporters, like, they've got 3 losses already, and was to Auburn. So like a 4-loss team should be out.
Yeah, 4 lost for sure, and I knew you would normally think 3, but I mean, I guess there's
probably going to be.
There's been enough chaos, so
I'm about to say that's the precedence we have set. It's like we went from 4 teams when there's never in history been a 2-loss team ever made the playoffs. When there has been chances that 2-loss team could have made the playoffs, there's a lot of chances that could have happened. Where now, we were okay with having 2.
You add 8 more slots.
Yeah,
here you are.
Now we're like 3 teams because at the beginning of the season, the center's nowhere.
Fellas, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I just had an epiphany on this show, and I think my entire viewpoint and stance on a very sensitive topic has changed. I was not a fan of playoff expansion. I hated it. I didn't think it was a good thing. But do y'all hear how we're having to talk about this right now? Do you hear the matchup that we could be thinking about? We could be thinking about the University of Miami going to Boise State for a first-round home game. We're talking about this stuff, and my biggest argument for the playoffs.
You're right, Chase.
My biggest argument for the playoffs was regular season games aren't going to matter. Look at how we just had a.
They are mattering. You're right.
They all matter.
They're mattering.
I think playoff expansions in the.
I think the way the whole
in the sport is a great thing.
Like
I'm a fan of where we're at right now. I really am.
I don't know, man.
The whole landscape has changed. The way that things have changed with NIL and transfer portal, it kind of fits this new playoff format.
I'm a fan of it.
It really does.
All around the sport, we're talking about Indiana and BYU being undefeated 2 weeks ago and being top 8. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Bama has 3 losses, and they're AP ranked number 13 right now with 3 losses. That's never happened.
Well, see, that's the thing, dude. There's no reason why we should be digging this. This is maybe it's me, but it's like that's why I don't think we should be digging this one. I think this is even more of a reason because when you see teams like Colorado, BYU, Arizona State, are they playing solid football towards the end? But yes, they're also playing bad football towards the end. They all lose. Like, look, it's Kansas. We knew Kansas was going to be a hard team for anybody to beat. Yes, it's Kansas beating 3 straight ranked teams. But if any other season in the history of college football, if you lost to a 3-6, 4-6 Kansas team, your season was over. Especially at the end of the season, your season was over.
But with that being said, though, this is why the expansion part of it is a great thing right now. Y'all just got done telling me Bama at their ceiling, Jalen Milroe on his best game is unstoppable.
Yeah.
I don't care if Bama has 3 losses. Bama at their best is a national championship contender. Do they deserve to be in the playoffs? No, not at all. They do not deserve to be in the playoffs.
No, they don't deserve to be in.
There are teams that are capable of winning the Natty.
Not now, just based off the circumstances.
They deserve to be in that situation.
And that's the reason why I feel like the work should be done in the regular season. Like, I don't agree with that.
And I agree with you, but that's what I'm saying. The games still matter even with this expansion because we just had one weekend blow up the entire.
I originally agreed with 8 too.
You know what I mean?
Well, see, that's the thing is I agree with 6. I think 6 is enough.
6 was kind of cool because you give a bye week, yeah.
Yes, but now if you want, you can say 8, but that's the most. 12.
Yeah.
12.
12 was a lot. 12 was a lot.
But you know where this is all. You know where this is all headed.
It's gonna expand again.
And
no, I don't think it expands.
It will. It will.
I think conference.
Even your boy Pate has done said that, man.
And you know what Pate has also said? We are going to an AFC NFC structure. Look at the Big Ten.
It could.
We're gonna have super conferences, and it's gonna be every man for
himself. The ACC blows up. That's not gonna be long.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're right.
And honestly, I'm okay with it because you're going to have all the best teams in one conference, all the best teams in another conference. Let them have a free-for-all in the playoffs. You're going to get matchups.
And then meet each other in the finals, yeah.
It literally should be just go ahead and do it like the NFL at this rate. I know because we have more teams, but
I wish we'd go back to the way things were. Like, bring back the Pac-12, bring back the Big East.
I agree.
I agree.
I've liked playoff expansion. I know I've kind of been the lone wolf on this show about that, but like I've hated conference realignment since it started. I've never liked it, and it just We don't. I know we got a lot to get to.
But I love it though, because look at what SMU's doing in the ACC right now. I love it. I'm a fan of it, man.
And they're good.
It's good for the teams that can do good. It's bad for those ones that get left behind,
Oregon
though.
just walked into the Big Ten, and they're going to win the conference. Like, I love it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah. You do got a point there. Some games we do got to hit on, because I know, we've kind of gone on different paths here, different branches of things. Jackson, I'll let you kind of talk about it, because one of the big games this past weekend, because I know we got our Colorado boys here. We got Kobe and Torres, and I guess Jackson, you root for him. I've been starting to hop on the bandwagon a little bit here, but one team that you've been on the bandwagon, you and Kobe have for a little while, is those Kansas Jayhawks, and they were able to beat Colorado this past weekend. What do you make of that one?
Kansas is the Big 12 version of Florida. Like they are just playing hot at the right time, and they've had to figure some things out. Now, obviously, they don't have like a DJ Lagway, because that was like the biggest thing for Florida, is just getting him in there, and then like them just playing really well. But like Kansas lost so many close games early in the season. They had a new OC. Everybody knows her. Andy Kotelnicki went to Penn State, is doing some solid things there. But it took some time to adjust, because like Jalen Daniels did not look like Daniels everybody knows is a good player. Like, he was throwing a ton of interceptions. I mean, he threw 4 interceptions against Illinois and they lost. He threw like 3 against UNLV and they lost. Like, I mean, he was racking them up. They just got back to what worked. Like, they ran the ball really, really well yesterday. And, Colorado held Utah, like a good Russian team, to 30 yards. So I didn't know how much Kansas was going to be able to run the ball yesterday. They killed them, like, running the football. Like, Colorado wanted none of it yesterday. Daniels didn't turn the ball over. He's not the most consistent thrower, but when he is not turning the ball over, he's got some receivers that can beat you. But the biggest thing was they just were able to run the football, and Colorado couldn't stop it. But I'll also just point out, like, that was one of the most dirtiest hits I have ever seen.
Yeah, it was.
For sure.
And another thing, I was shocked none of Colorado's players, offensive linemen, like, went over there and fought that dude. Like, they didn't do it. It kind of surprised me. Like, it's just the but that was one of the dirtiest things I've ever seen. That dude should have been thrown out.
That was rough.
Yeah.
I hate it that they're playing this way now, because I picked them to win the Big 12 at the beginning of the year, but they're playing like, I think, the best team in the Big 12. But like, obviously they've got 4 conference losses, so they're out of it by now. But yeah, they're playing really well right now. And Colorado's not out of it yet. Like, their only path was to win the Big 12, and that's still plausible. Like, they were never getting in that large, so like, they're not just yet. But that was the tiebreaker scenarios, because if all 4 of there's 4 teams with 2 losses, if all 4 of them win, we get BYU, Iowa State, I think. Or no, Iowa State.
Arizona State.
That's right. Arizona State, which is just wild. So, yeah, big win for Kansas. They still got to get bowl eligible, by the way, which is they got to beat Baylor to do that. That's how big themselves at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
For real. Speaking of Arizona State, that game was pretty crazy too yesterday. We caught the very tail end of it right when they were trying to run it out, and then I don't know what it is with these. What would you call it? These early storming the fields. Yeah, like, I don't know, that happened and then it happened again. It's ridiculous. Like, I don't know, Jackson, you were at that game when we beat App State in Statesboro, right? And we stormed the field. We waited until it hit zeros.
Like you're supposed to.
Yeah, and Torres, back when you guys beat Northside, we waited until zeros before we stormed the field. So, I mean, what's so hard about that? What's so complex about it that people don't understand? But that crap had me dying, especially seeing how Dillingham was reacting. That crap.
That was good.
My wife just goes, ooh, when she saw this dude have crazy eyes. Go, no, that's BS. Like, he was going off. That crap was funny, and they ended up catching it down there at the end, but wait too short on that one. So. Crazy ball game. They've kind of had a resurgence here too. So good on him down there at Arizona State. Other big games, Florida. Go ahead.
Speaking of resurgence and field stormings, we need to dive into the colossal explosion that Ole Miss is playing this season. Ole Miss is absolutely horrible. Florida deserved a field storming. Florida has
and they
developed into a solid team. Me and Tyler were notorious at the beginning of the year for ragging on Florida. We both agreed that Florida wouldn't win more than 3 games, and not just because we didn't think highly of their team, but their schedule was a gauntlet this year.
It was bad.
Billy Napier and them boys are going bowling. They clearly have a future of the program and DJ Lagway. Shout out to Florida, but Jackson Dart.
That was awful.
My brother in Christ.
Awful.
What are you doing?
Awful.
Oh my God.
Awful.
He throws a pick, goes to the sideline, cries, gets another chance, throws another pick, goes back to the sideline and cries. I've never seen this before.
Awful.
Maybe in Pee Wee football over at the Warner Robins Rec Department, but that's it.
Hey,
I've never seen that before.
some people didn't meant to, dude. I was
Terrible.
saying, I would have loved to see his heart rate during that entire sequence. For him to throw the pick, go over there and cry. They take the ball away. They say, "Oh, no interception." He comes right back and throw interception. I just know the spike in his heart was just.
Not only that, he technically threw 3 interceptions in the last 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah, he did.
Like, that was just a colossal implosion.
Where was that at against us, man?
But see, that's what I'm saying.
Jesus.
Like, how do you play like you do against Georgia, but against Florida, you throw 3 interceptions in the last 2 minutes of the game? You had every opportunity to tie that football game. You did. They even called a flag on Florida that gave Ole Miss extra yards and extra time on the clock instead of a 10-second runoff with 30 seconds left in the game. Like, Ole Miss had the opportunity to win this game.
Well, look, Kirby said it best, man. This is the hardest conference to win in all of college football. It's hard to win on the road in the SEC.
So
and that is so much more true than I ever heard it.
So why do you say that? But in our little group chats, you're very adamant that people don't view the SEC the way we do.
Because they don't.
I think it's.
I really don't. Outside of us, Kobe, I think there's like a bias against us. That's just me.
We're about to literally.
I'm dead serious. Jackson's snickering, but I really feel that way.
We're about to have 4 teams.
Coverage guy. Like,
we're about to have 4 teams from the Big Ten make the playoffs in the top 10.
There's a clear agenda here.
Yeah.
And 2 of them are worthy. Yes, Ohio State or Oregon, but Penn State,
frauds,
Indiana,
frauds.
Who have they really? Come on, man. Like they
agree.
You telling me you think Penn State is better
Get him out of here.
Every SEC team in the SEC except for Texas? You telling me you think Penn State's better than all of them?
Jackson, Tennessee and Penn State line up on a neutral field. Who's favored to win that game?
Well, you would pick Tennessee.
Okay, here's my thing, and I
don't know about Tennessee because they have
I think Tennessee would be favored to win that game.
I would pick Tennessee.
They probably would be, but
I'd pick them.
But why does that matter? Like the SEC is undefeated
because it means more.
Yeah,
Jackson.
I know, but
it's still real to me. Dang it!
I think the SEC is the best conference in college football, but the hypothetical things kill me. And this goes, like, I hate to bring this up, but this goes back to the Alabama TCU thing.
Yes.
It's stupid. Like,
it is.
It's hypothetically, Alabama should have whooped Oklahoma yesterday. They should have beat Vanderbilt. Tennessee should have beat Arkansas. Ole Miss should have beat Kentucky and Florida, but they didn't. So, yeah, Tennessee will be favored over Penn State, but Penn State could beat them. They probably wouldn't, but they could. And the hypotheticals bringing that
chance
conversation.
Hey, especially playing in Penn State, I would definitely put it past Tennessee.
What game are you looking at that Tennessee played this year, and you were just so confident that they're going to beat Penn State? Like,
they held every other opponent. They held every other opponent under 20 points.
Go look at the quarterbacks they played this year.
That's what I'm saying.
Milroe and Carson Beck.
And you're telling me Drew Allard is awesome.
Drew Allard hasn't faced anybody outside of who? Will Howard?
I'm saying, like, Tennessee has not faced. They faced 2 good quarterbacks. They faced a hurt Jalen Milroe, by the way. So, like, sure. They placed Carson Beck, who was coming off the worst game I've ever seen him play.
Played his best game.
Yeah, and looked like Tom
of the
Brady.
Season.
Like, Tennessee's secondary's been suspect all year, and they got exposed when they played an actual quarterback. I don't know that Penn State would expose that. But also, like, when was the last time you were wowed by Nico playing a game either? Like,
exactly.
Nico has.
Nico
that's a good
beat
thing
Oklahoma. Jalen Milroe can't beat Oklahoma.
Hey, well, see, no, you little. I talk about.
But fighting. He didn't play that great against them either, though. I'm gonna be honest.
We talk about this with fighting.
It was shaky.
You cannot play fighting math. You can't play MMA math, and I said the same thing in football. You can't play football math. You can't say, because he beat this team, they should beat this team. No. Because everything is schematic-wise. It's very, very scheme-wise. Tennessee lost to Arkansas. Tell me what you think Arkansas is that much better than Penn State at in all technicality. Because I don't think, you can't necessarily play football math at times. And
but Penn State's winning. That's the thing.
And they're winning. That's right. They are winning.
They have one loss, and it was a 7-point loss to what might be the best team in the country.
That's right.
Well, but the thing is, this
Indiana's
happens
winning.
every
Are they
year
one of
they
the
play
top
good
teams in the
teams.
They should be in the playoff.
Yeah,
Is
Indiana's
Indiana one of the top 5 teams in the country? Because they were 48 hours ago.
Until yesterday, yeah, they should have been up there.
Yeah, they was undefeated. And look.
Are they one of the best 5 teams in the country?
Hold up.
When it comes to that, Kobe, I agree with you. Like when you're looking at, are they actually based off of what the numbers tell you?
But that's not what rankings are for.
I know they're not.
Like I think
It's never been the
Tulane
best
might be-
teams. Y'all know this.
We had this.
But hold on. If we're playing the numbers game, technically last year, Florida State, did they lose a game?
No,
No, they did
And they
not.
still got left out.
and they shouldn't have.
They should have.
But
That's-
how can you say that?
I love that we do
How
this.
can you
Bring
say
it back
that?
up.
It was
I want to see the world burn.
Florida State's backup quarterback is going to go and beat the national champion Michigan? No.
But again, here we come back to the hypothetical.
That's a hypothetical, Kobe.
See that? See that?
Because Kobe, everybody kept telling me, well, TCU lost the Big 12 championship. There's no way they should be in the playoffs.
They
just
beat
go in the
Michigan.
playoffs and beat
And then they beat Michigan. Yeah,
And
they
so you can't
validated
tell
it.
me they didn't
They
deserve it.
validated it.
That's the thing that kills me about the TCU thing is people act like they didn't beat an undefeated Michigan that beat Ohio State. Like,
That's correct.
and it's crazy. We're still talking. Like Sonny Dykes got asked about that after his game last night. Did y'all see that?
I did not.
What was it?
Oh,
Yeah,
Vic
tell me
Saban brought
about it.
up.
Yeah,
Vic
so-
Saban brought it up.
Educate me.
It's either on McAfee's show or College Game Day. Saban got on this little thing. Well, we would have been favored by 50.
Now hold on. No, he's all right. Chase said Florida State did not deserve to be in. This year has definitely shown that. Dude, you can't say that. This is a whole different squad.
Get out of here.
They lost
Yeah,
so many
different
people.
team.
No, Chase. Out.
I appreciate
Ow.
the hate right there. Like that's
Because he's a true Florida fan now.
Yeah,
He's going to crack on him. He's a true.
Is he a Miami fan or like who's
He's Florida, so he's going to throw some shade at them now.
But so Saban was on. It was either McAfee or College Game Day, and he said, "Well, we've been favored by 16 points over TCU, and like that just kind of goes to show. Look how they played against Georgia." And it's like somebody asked Sonny Dykes about it yesterday, and he's like, "Well, we were in, and they weren't. And we beat Michigan. We played like garbage against Georgia, but it happens. Like Georgia kills almost everybody." So it's just again the hypotheticals just kill.
Well, wasn't it the next year that Alabama played Michigan in the first round of the playoff too,
Yes,
and they lost?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, and people sometimes have to recognize that there can be a drop off from certain teams to others. It's not because, let's just say, I'm not saying Indiana's a top 5 team, but I do think they are a top 10 rated team. Let's just say Indiana get blown out by Ohio State. Okay, boom. I'm not so sure that Penn State beat Indiana. So then we got another top 5 team like Indiana beats Penn State, or Indiana could beat a potential Boise State, or they could look. I wouldn't sleep on Indiana being able to beat Miami. So how can we sit here and say
Kobe's eyes kind of widened on that one.
I'm just because Miami defense is absolutely booty. So I'm just saying, but that is what I'm saying. There's so many different ways you can look at it.
There's a lot of different
can't say
possible
they don't
outcomes.
deserve to be in it just because they lose to the number 2 ranked team in the country. When the number 2 ranked team in the country only lost is on the road to the number 1 ranked team by 1 point, and they should have won
at the last second. Yeah,
but that's so backwards thinking because you just got done sitting here telling me, well, what has Tennessee done to prove that Arkansas is their best win or they've lost to Arkansas? So what? India hasn't played anybody.
Indiana has dominated who they dominated.
They are worthy.
If you dominated the teams you're playing, yes. It's not that
it does. You do at some point. You kind of have to be rewarded for playing the people ahead of you and winning those games.
What's the point of playing all these games if at the end of the day we're just going to say, well, South Carolina could beat Indiana, so who cares what Indiana's done or something like that?
And there is a case to be made for strength of schedule because Kobe, you are correct. I think a lot of the wins they've had has been teams that are in the back half of the conference in the Big Ten.
They've beaten 2 teams that are going to be bowl eligible.
Call it hypothetical all you want, Georgia and Alabama would be laughed at if they ever walked out there with Indiana's schedule. Do y'all realize that? There would be no credibility behind Alabama and Georgia if their hardest team that they played.
They'd still put them in.
Who?
Texas and Indiana have the same schedule almost and the same outcomes, and yet they're ranked number 3.
And I think Texas is ranked too high. I think Texas is ranked way too high.
Yeah, Texas is kind of fake in a lot
but
of
it just shows the benefit of the doubt. After Georgia killed Texas, were we talking about them being frauds and they shouldn't be ranked where they were ranked like we're doing with Indiana?
Notre Dame lost to unranked.
I'm not making a case for
NIU.
But Notre Dame has beaten 4 other ranked teams. So you can't,
yes,
you can't sit there and say that. Like they beat 4 ranked teams. So
Marcus Freeman. Remember, Kobe, Marcus Freeman.
That's true.
I'll say this: Notre Dame should be in the playoff. I don't know that they should be hosting a game because that loss, like NIU, is not a good.
That should sting. That should hold a stench on your whole record.
To me, they should be in the back half. Like they should be in the playoff. They should be in the back half. But here's the thing: is they're one loss away from another wrench being thrown in this whole thing. Because if USC beats them, they should get out. Like there is no way.
We're going to talk about that game.
Well,
what's crazy is I don't think so.
Are they not one of the better 2-loss teams in the country at this point?
No, if you lose to a 6-5 USC in Northern Illinois,
that might knock them out.
The Alabama, South Carolina, Ole Miss, I'll take them over Notre Dame at that point.
I agree with you, Chase Tyler. I agree that there's a team that's going to be in that bottom 6 that ends up.
I was thinking about this today. This, for the first time maybe ever in my college football fandom, I have zero idea who's going to win the national title. I really don't know who's going to win at all. I think it's about who could, but I don't know. You can make a case for some teams. You can make even a case against those teams as well. It's kind of crazy, at least to me.
And you got all these teams playing hypotheticals. Hey, should we want to win the SEC championship, or should we want to win our conference championship? Should we want to miss that and sneak in?
That's the dumbest argument I've ever heard.
Yeah,
just me as
I'm so serious, but you know it actually means something when you got coaches like Lane Kiffin coming out in his press releases, and saying it. I'm dead serious, man. It's something. It's out there, bro. It's out there.
That's the difference. That's the difference between Lane Kiffin and a lot of the greats. Lane Kiffin isn't competitive. We just saw against Florida, Lane Kiffin and his teams are not competitive. Alabama, I wanted us to get in the SEC championship. I wanted us to try to beat Texas. I wanted that matchup. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, as a coach, and like we said, as coaches and players, I want them to have that mentality. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like at a certain point as a fan, I want my chance at the college football playoff.
Yes,
I want the national title.
If you tell Kirby Smart right now, hey, I got my best 11 guys, will you line up your best 11 guys right here, right now?
He'll do it.
Yes, every time.
Yes.
So Lane Kiffin shouldn't have any credibility in that aspect because clearly he's not one of the most competitive coaches in the country, and we've seen that on
Which it also, I know there's a lot of talk about would you rather be the 5 seed, would you rather be the 1 seed? I would rather have that bye week just for the simple fact is you could sit there, you could whoop the 12 seed, but what if somebody gets hurt? You could have
God forbid Ashton Genty gets hurt in round 1. You know what I mean? What does Boise State do after that? They have nothing.
Just what happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, you're right.
That's the nature of the beast, though. That's why you play the game.
Correct.
It's a contact sport. You shouldn't run from that. If anything, be better, train harder, do better. Freak accidents happen, yes, but don't be scared to lose. Just go out there and play to win. Don't just not play not to lose. You know what I mean? Be competitive.
You're right.
No,
you're right.
That's right, and I'm sure Georgia, and I'm sure,
that's why a team like Georgia will very well be at least in the semifinals of the playoffs because they have that mentality and they have a roster to go with it. I don't think Alabama had that mentality. I saw that mentality Georgia has in the second half against Alabama. They're not just going to lay down and quit.
Yeah,
because they are coached up that way.
For sure, out of the team, but it is always going to come to the draw. I've seen multiple times. Heck, you've even seen it in high school. It depends on who you get first at what part of the round. Because a team that might make it all the way to the semifinals or even to the championship, we match up better against that team. But get what? We play our worst matchup in round 1 or round 2. So that is a real thing. It's about where you get your draw. And I think that's going to be one of those times where I think so as well.
Yeah.
Yes, Chase. I actually remember when Bainbridge did that. They went 5-5. Was like awful. It was at the bottom, the 4 seed. Ran through everybody, but it was because Bainbridge had so many injuries. All the guys came back, went on to the state championship, and they beat Warner Robins in the state championship that year.
Yeah.
Like I remember Bainbridge. Yeah, so like that is all about matchups. It's all about where you get the luck of the draw. And I think for a team like Georgia, at that time, it probably is either we win that state championship game or we don't play in it at all. That's all I'm at. Because being okay with potentially losing it, like Texas, they in the best position. Texas beat Texas A&M.
They're good either way.
Win it or lose it. It don't matter to them. But for us, it's different.
I don't think so. The only way Georgia gets left out is if they lose this Friday and then turn around and lose to Texas A&M. Like I refuse to believe they get left out for losing.
Yeah,
I hope you're right.
I bring up last year either because y'all shouldn't have been in it last year.
I preached it to y'all. If a 2-loss team were going to lose the SEC championship, and the only reason they miss out on the playoffs is because their third loss was in the SEC championship, I do not think the committee is that stupid to leave out the SEC runner-up.
Well, and it's also
because they had to play.
You're talking about a committee that's pissed some folks off before now.
You do. I'm about to say
you do know, and correct, but they've been right more often than they've been wrong on this. Let's think about it now. We saw it in 2017. Alabama lost to Auburn. They didn't play in the SEC championship. Oh, but Ohio State has one loss, and they won their conference championship. Guess what? Bama enters as the 4th seed and wins the national championship against Georgia.
Well, that's when I disagree with that one then. I still disagree with that one then. Because Ohio State
was on their 3rd starting quarterback in 2014. Their 3rd string quarterback dog walked Alabama.
They
won a natty.
The hypotheticals thing, like Alabama should have killed that Ohio State team, but they didn't.
They did.
So that's what I'm saying. But Ohio State, Alabama, those teams, their team held weight despite whatever circumstance you had. And you throw them in there and they mess around and win it.
Well, when have we ever held weight? Because I don't remember ever seeing that. I don't remember the Georgia name having held weight.
I don't know.
When did Georgia get left out when they should have legitimately been in it? Don't say last year.
Thank you.
Well, when you drop from 1 to 6, that is something.
Okay.
And it's 4 teams.
Judging based off how they've been doing stuff this year, it's been kind of scary.
Okay, so let's talk about strength of schedule. Was y'all strength of schedule on par last year?
No.
I'm talking about right now. We're talking about.
No, don't talk about strength of schedule from last year. Last year was it great? No, it was not. But we were the number 1 ranked team for the entire season. How you number 1 ranked for 12 straight weeks, and then now you go to 6 after 1 loss?
Because the same reason y'all praise Indiana for beating up lackluster competition and saying they're still top 10 in the country.
Because everybody else. Yes, because everybody else lost. Yes, they were top 10 in the country.
There was an undefeated Big Ten champ. There was an undefeated Washington team that had 2 great wins over Oregon. You had Alabama who just beat you. And then you had a 1-loss Texas.
What was that year? What was the year that Tua started in the SEC championship game and then Jalen came in the second half and beat Georgia?
2018.
And y'all shouldn't have been in either because y'all had like a 21-point loss to LSU, like a 9-3 LSU team. And
that was the LSU year. I know what year you're talking about. That's when we lost to
y'all lost to South Carolina at home that year. Didn't y'all?
Got upset at South Carolina at home.
I thought 2018 was the year y'all went to LSU and got destroyed.
That was the year. Yeah, I know what year you're talking about. That was the year.
Joe Burrow.
Not Joe Burrow. Oh my gosh, I know what year you're talking about. Oh my goodness.
But to Jackson's point, when have y'all ever been left out when y'all had a legit argument to be in?
Because, I remember that discussion because it was Oklahoma or Georgia with the Kyler Murray team. And it's like,
you know what? I think both of those games happened in the same year. I think we lost both to South Carolina and LSU.
I thought it was y'all lost to LSU and then y'all lost the game to Alabama. And then the only thing that I heard.
Got upset about South Carolina for sure.
Let's see here. I'm looking now.
Jake Fromm had 3 interceptions.
Jake Fromm had 3 interceptions. I definitely remember that game. Because I was
did Rodrigo miss a game time?
He missed the field goals. That's right.
I remember.
Yeah, he sure freaking did.
I remember that.
I remember that game.
Ryan Polinsky. What was his name? What was South Carolina's quarterback's name, Jackson?
Oh
Ryan
God!
Hilinski or
Get
something
put
like
the one Helinsky.
Ryan
Yeah.
Hilinski. or something
Helinsky,
like
and he ended up going to Washington or Washington
Oh,
State or something like that.
I
Yeah.
remember that year. Jesus. Yeah, I mean,
I remember
that
that.
was a bad loss.
You know that was the last time.
So yeah, no, we lost to LSU at LSU 36-16.
Yeah, that's the game I remember.
And then that same year we beat South Carolina 41-17.
Oh, so what year did we lose to South Carolina?
So we went into that game. That ended up that was a one loss, and so we ended up having two losses after that. After that, getting beat by
okay.
Alabama 35-28.
That's
right.
right.
So
played
we
Joe
lost
Burrow.
to LSU. We lost to Alabama.
The
Yeah.
year we played Joe Burrow is when we lost to South Carolina. I keep forgetting from
Yeah.
played that many years. I keep,
The whole discussion was hypothetically if we played that Georgia would have beat Oklahoma, and it was like the only thing I remember Georgia hanging their hat on was, well, everybody thought we'd get killed by Alabama, but we almost beat them, and it's like, well, you didn't. Like,
Yeah.
well, the
Yeah.
only thing I like to bring up a lot, because I'll never forget this moment, was 2016 when Ohio
Freaking
State lost
stupid Notre
to Penn
Dame.
State. Penn State beat Ohio State, went on and won the Big Ten championship, and they still jumped Ohio State in the playoffs over them.
But do we remember who Penn State lost to? They lost to a bad
Kobe. What you got to say, Kobe?
I'm not entertaining that
You're
black.
not entertaining that one.
Well, what y'all talking about Ohio State? I'm not entertaining.
Well, Penn State lost to a 4-loss Pitt team that year, and they got beat by 30 points by Michigan. Like that's where it comes down to is like it was hard to put a 2-loss team that got blown out and then also had a bad loss to Pitt.
So a team that win your conference, but you jump Ohio State in over them, and Ohio State at that time was ranked above them?
Well, Ohio State had a ton of ranked wins. They beat Oklahoma, who won the Big 12, or Baker that year. They went to Oklahoma and killed them. They beat Michigan, who was ranked number 3. They beat a top 10 Wisconsin team. If you want to argue about how good Wisconsin was, 5, but they were top 10 when they beat them. I think they wound up with like 4 top 10 wins or something because Ohio State kind of had like a weirdly hard schedule that year, and their only loss was a blocked field goal against Penn State. And
But see, that's why playoff expansion is a good thing.
Yes.
You know?
Could be.
I'm here for it, Miles. Really am.
Could be. So, with that being said, because I think we kind of covered all. Well, I mean, we touched on it a bit, but A&M getting upset by Auburn, going to triple or was it triple or quadruple overtime? Quadruple overtime, because we went into 2 sets of 2-point conversions, and he dropped the pass. A&M to secure another overtime. So with them losing, the winner between them and Texas this week, which we will get into the picks here shortly, we'll go on to face Georgia in this SEC championship game, and we'll get into that. What you think, match up best? Now, Kobe, we're getting into college football playoff thoughts here. You had something that you wanted to lead us into in this one. What would that be?
Gentlemen, now that we have a very generalized idea of possible playoff teams, we don't really know the seeding. We don't know who's going to win conference championship games, but we have a good contentious guess about the 13 to 14 teams that could possibly make the playoffs. Who is y'all's dark horse selection to win the playoffs? Somebody that's not getting the mainstream media attention, not a Oregon, not an Ohio State, not even a Texas. Who is y'all's, now that we have this expanded playoffs and we have a little bit more inclusion, who is somebody off the radar that could walk in and very well win the national championship this year?
That's a hard question, brother.
Let's name them out. So you said Oregon, Ohio State. Who are the other ones we got in the mix right now? I mean,
Oregon,
Penn State.
Ohio State,
You can't say Georgia either. Like,
Georgia, Texas.
I think Georgia's like number 2 in the odds, behind Ohio State.
Oregon, Ohio State, then them.
If I had to be completely honest with y'all, I think SMU is my dark horse.
They look pretty good this year. They do.
If they go on to win the ACC, if they beat a really good Miami team with a really good quarterback, I think SMU could very well be the dark horse.
Well, I was going to go in the ACC, and I thought y'all were going to laugh at me. I was going to say Miami. Just for the fact is they would probably have the best quarterback.
I knew you were going with that. You told me that one before. I knew you were going to say the best quarterback thing.
I do not think Miami's going to win the national title. Like, don't get it confused. But they have the best offense. Like, you look at the numbers by a decent margin, especially when they're on. And, like, I really do think Cam Ward is the best quarterback in the country, and I think he would be the best quarterback in any game. Even
I wouldn't go that far.
I would take him over Gabriel.
I like Shador Sanders.
Yeah,
Shador,
but
Shador Sanders lost yesterday. By the time the fourth quarter hit, I'm pretty sure Shador only had 3 incomplete passes and multiple times.
And Shador's great, but Shador's probably not in the playoffs either. So in the playoffs, like Cam Ward's probably going to be the best quarterback in any game they play. I don't think they'll win it, but like give me a team that like you have the best player at the best.
Dylan Gabriel?
No.
I like Dylan Gabriel, but no. Like Cam Ward, top 10 pick in the NFL. Dylan Gabriel is going to be doing something else on Sunday.
Quinn Ewers / Arch Manning?
No. I've told you my Quinn Ewers.
No.
Yeah.
As far as what you said, though, the dark horse, you said no Georgia, no Oregon, no Ohio State, no Texas. You got me. I'm not picking Penn State.
Outside of the top 6.
I'll give you mine. Well, they're not out of the top 6, but you want to say they get media a little bit, but I'm going to go Notre Dame. All right,
I was kind of looking at that.
They're playing good football right now.
They are really good football. I've watched a few games, and I don't watch many Notre Dame games, but I have actually paid attention to them a little bit much of this season, and I've actually been impressed. I like what Marcus Freeman is doing.
I think they can make a
run. Everybody keeps going back to that Northern Illinois loss. Okay, yes, he lost. What was that, second or third game of the season? Okay, Congratulations, it happened. But guess what? He's went on a run ever since then, and I don't even think they've been in a close game since then. And they played a lot of tough. They wasn't a type.
You can't deny that Notre Dame has developed into a good team since their loss early in the season.
Yeah, they have. But I definitely think Notre Dame is definitely one of my dark horses. What is that? What did Colton do?
Yes, I agree.
Colton said, "Is this season a sign that NIL will keep powerhouses from being dominant, or think it's just a weird season? You've got teams who are winning ball games that normally don't. So, in other words, it's creating parity, right? It's taking away.
I think there's parity in the sport because you have a little bit more divisiveness in where talent goes. Because think about it like this: if Evan Stewart never left A&M, does A&M win that game against Auburn yesterday?
Maybe.
Probably they have a better chance of winning, correct?
Yeah, the chances go up a bit.
He's not there because he took a Nike deal at Oregon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Oregon's throwing some good deals out there now.
I think NIL is creating balance because conference realignment is what it is. We're going to have super conferences at the end of the day. However, I think NIL can balance that because you're getting better players scattered around the country instead of just in the SEC. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look at Juju Lewis going to Colorado.
Exactly.
I don't know that you're ever going to see. I think you'll see some all-time great teams at some point. I don't think you're ever going to see like a top-to-bottom, truly deep elite team anymore. It's just back in Bama's heyday with Saban and stuff, you had just 5 stars like 4th string. I just don't. You're not going to see that anymore because
black shirts. You remember those black shirts, Kobe? Not even a red shirt, but a black shirt, man.
Like to Jackson's point, like you're never going to see a situation where you have a Quinnen Williams sitting for 3 years and getting 1 year starting and being a first-round pick. No. You will never see that again.
Stupid stuff, bro.
Like
it's you see players on Georgia leaving to go. Had a guy the linebacker go to Kentucky, and some of these are good.
Yeah, Jamon Demas Johnson.
Yeah, like you lose good players to this, and that helps balance it out.
And what definitely does help this is, like being in college, being able to play. Most of the time when you transfer, unless you had a valid reason on your transfer, you had to usually sit out a year. Now these guys can transfer and play the exact next year. And because of that, I think it has now changed the landscape of college football. Because now, let's just say if I'm a guy like Arch Manning, because they're in talk. If Quinn Ewers does come back next year, Arch Manning is
ain't coming back.
I don't think so either. But hey, they pay Quinn Ewers to write him enough money. Arch Manning's gonna be like, man, I'm not gonna sit behind this guy another year. I'm going somewhere else, and that's very valid for him.
Come on home, Arch.
Yeah,
come on home. Remember who came in second in that recruiting. Come on.
He will either be in the NFL or he will be playing somewhere else. He will not be in Texas.
Yeah. I hope it happens. Yeah, you had Chase chime in. He said NIL just made it legal to be paid. It was going on no matter what. I mean, yeah, people were getting paid, but I don't think it was to this extent because now that it's legal, you can get paid way more. It is what it is, you know. And that now it's no longer amateur. You know, these guys are getting paid.
But
and
there's one simple
Getting their
thing
cut.
they can. There's one simple thing they can do to counteract this, but still compensate the players. Because I'm all for the athletes
salary
getting
cap.
paid. Not necessarily a salary cap, but they're getting paid money. They got to sign a contract. Hey, Bryce Underwood, if you're going to get paid this $10 million over 4 years, you have to stay all for the 4 years.
I think that stuff's going on.
I don't think so.
I don't
Guys
think so.
are
It's
signing
not.
and leaving
It's
after
actually
year
not.
one, after they get the money they're promised in year one.
So you know when people say, you know, you're a pro just because you get paid? Not necessarily.
No,
Necessarily.
they're not on
You're a
contract.
pro
They don't have to show up to
when
work.
you are getting paid on a contract.
Yes.
That's the professional part.
Yeah.
It's
Do
not
y'all know
because
what? Do y'all know what the road we're going to be going down in is? There's going to be unions involved. There's going to be
exactly. That's why we can't have
Players Association.
There
NCAA,
you go.
CP associations, you know.
Yeah,
That's the reason why we can't have contracts in college.
Collective bargaining agreements.
NCAA, PA, you know.
Yep.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
if you have contracts, now it is just basically NFL. It is
NFL.
basically the NFL. You
Minor
don't want
league.
contracts. You don't want contracts. 'Cause
But I
that's gonna
think
get
at some point they're going to be considered employees. I don't know when.
I think
it's
so,
something.
because here's the thing. Like this kid has the promise he's going to be in our program for 2 years to get this NIL money that we're offering him. Is that not fair?
There's like I could have sworn I've heard of some instances of teams, you know, having like clauses in these agreements.
They probably could, but guess
The
what?
only thing is, some of these NIL agreements are like handshake deals. They're not actual contracts.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
where it's like that whole weird thing with the UNL.
Jalen Rashada and Billy Napier situation, prime example.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
you're
check
right.
getting
Like the
clear.
UNLV's good point, Jackson. The UNLV situation. He
Yeah.
was supposed to been paid this amount of money. Now, if it was in a contract, he easily could have sued them and done it, you know, whatever
Yep.
he want. But since it's not in a contract, neither side has to adhere to either part. So I can go and if I say, hey, Michigan told me they'll have me here for $10 million, all right, if I stay for at least 4 years. But if this team Oregon, like the next year, man, we'll pay you $11 million just to come instantly next year.
Yeah.
I don't give a crap what Michigan said. Bro, you know, like some players
Yeah.
will do that. And,
Yeah.
and I think that's the part where you have to keep it this way a little bit. I do think a salary cap is necessary on like how much money you're allowed to spend.
Is
Because
the salary cap like universal? Does everybody have the same cap? Because I don't think
Because not everybody has the same resources.
Not everybody
It's
has the
you're
same
you're
resources.
right. You're right. So that would have to be something that would have to.
Because here's
Yeah.
the thing. Clemson, they're not making as much money as USC.
no, because
Mhm.
that one don't want to do it. You don't want to do it now.
But Clemson's going to go down the drain if there's a salary cap, and their salary cap is $80 million, and USC's is $180 million. You know,
I think
Yeah.
there'll be some universal way of doing it if that's what we're going to do. Because like that's the whole point of a salary cap is where somebody can't outspend somebody else. So it's
It's happening right now.
Yep.
I can tell you that much. Going back to the dark horse though, I kind of agree with. So Kobe said SMU, Torres said Notre Dame. I'm kind of behind the Notre Dame thing, even though I know that sounds crazy coming from me. But yeah, Notre Dame's kind of the one I would pick. Jackson.
they would have one of the best units in the playoff with their
Yeah.
defense. The only thing I worry about Notre Dame is they've had a lot of key guys get hurt. Like their best corners out for the year, their top offensive tackles, both of them are out for the year. Like they have suffered a lot, and it hasn't shown because like, look, I love Army and Navy, but like, come on, like they weren't going to expose that. Like,
Yeah.
that they weren't either. So I'm interested to see somebody, and then even like Georgia Tech is arguably their best win, and they were playing their third best quarterback.
Yeah, that's true.
That's my only reservation with Notre Dame right now is they
Yeah.
can poke holes in even in the
Well,
race.
it's the typical
What about
argument
Texas
against Notre
A&M?
Dame.
I feel like Texas A&M their best one.
Yeah, but I personally, I just think that Texas A&M is in that like 25 to 30 range. I don't think they are a top 15 team. Like they lost to Auburn, like and Auburn lost to Cal. Like I just
Yeah.
A&M
Playing
is a
football
good-
math. You're playing football
You,
math.
if you are, you're playing football, man.
Playing football math. You can't do it.
I know.
Well, yeah. So, are we ready to make some picks for rivalry week, fellas?
Let's knock it out.
Do it.
All right. So here we go. We'll give. I don't know who's the biggest Colorado guy here. Is it Kobe or is it Torres?
I'm a very big Colorado guy.
It might be Kobe, but I am too. I was disappointed.
I love everything about Dion.
I was disappointed yesterday.
Very.
The
Like-
defense can't tackle.
They showed the stat that Kansas had 250 yards rushing and Colorado had 30. I lost my mind in my living room. I was sick to my stomach looking at
That's
that.
ugly.
Hey,
I'll take that.
but here's the thing. What made it even more sickening is that Colorado was only down by 3 at that point. They were getting outrushed
Crazy.
200 yards, and they were within a possession of that.
They couldn't get a stop. They couldn't get a stop.
Sometimes you just
so
run into an
disappointing.
elite team that's unstoppable. Like it happens.
America's team at that.
Is it right?
All right. Well, then we'll let Kobe start this one off. Then, so he's got. We're going to let you kind of begin this one. Oklahoma State going to Boulder to face number 16 at the moment, Colorado. Colorado is a 16.5-point favorite here. Who you riding with?
Give me Colorado, and not necessarily because I love Dion, but Oklahoma State. Oh my God! Me and Jackson had a long phone call about Oklahoma State, not even before week 4 of this season, and we both said Oklahoma State was just a disappointment. They are just, I can't with Oklahoma State. Colorado, I think Dion will have them boys right. I did think their mentality
Bounce back game.
I think they had a bad game. Their mentality shifted a little bit. I think they're a little bit more focused on, hey, Travis Hunter and Shador might go to New York. Colorado, hey, first 8-win season since, 2016 or something crazy like that. You know what I mean? Like, I think they got a little bit of hype to them, and Kansas was the wrong team to just overlook because Kansas was very capable of walking in this season and winning that conference. Like me and Jackson have preached that for the last couple months. Kansas was the wrong team to overlook. But with that being said, I mean, it's year 2. I'm kind of under the same graces with Kalen DeBoer that I am with Dion. You got to give him time. Has he made tremendous strides? Yes. Did anybody really expect them to have 8 or 9 wins this year? Realistically, nobody expected them to do that. So did they have a bad game yesterday? Yes. But I think Colorado is still trending in the right direction. I think they win this game pretty comfortably.
I did think I thought it just at least 8. I'm more here.
I was in the same. I
actually
think I might have been.
Actually, I did think that. Yeah.
But
I hate to brag about it, but I did say Torres over here.
I did say 8. I was really big on them going to incoming.
He was
into this upcoming season.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say I don't think they overlook Kansas. I just think I think for me. They said, all right, we beat Kansas, we're in the Big 12 championship. That's no ifs, ands, or buts. Like, I think they looked at that game as their playoff shot. And Kansas was that much better than them on that day. They really was. And, just a hard team to beat. Heck, Kansas won 3 straight ranked games. So, it's not like we're looking
and
at
Kansas is just clicking at the right time. Is that
They are. They're getting hot.
They're clicking at the wrong time. Like they're clicking at the end of the season.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Well, so you're taking Colorado to cover that as well.
Yeah, I think
right?
Colorado wins.
Yes, I am. Yes.
Okay, Jackson.
I think Colorado will smoke them. Like, go look at the bottom of the Big 12 standings. The teams at the bottom were all picked at the top of the league at the beginning of the year. Like Utah is 4-7. Like I think that's going lost on people, and like they've had some injuries.
Freaking Cam Rising.
Yeah, Arizona has been terrible. Like Arizona was picked number 6.
Arizona. Oh, I thought Arizona was going to be so good this year.
Oklahoma State.
What's the name of the quarterback and the wide receiver?
Noah Fafita.
And they're good, but the rest of that team stinks. And then, they lost their coach from last year too. So
yeah,
and high school legend Justin Flo.
Right, freaking Justin
high
Flo,
school
man.
legend.
And then Oklahoma State brings back the most returning production in the country. All their offensive line, Ollie Gordon, blah, blah, blah. And Oklahoma State has quit, and they quit a long time ago. They have not been competitive at all this year. Like, they're 3-8. Like, if this game is close to me, that says more about Colorado than anything. Like, this should not be close. I don't think it will be, but I guess you never know.
Yeah,
Like,
I'll round it out, and I'll say Colorado covers as well. I think we're all in agreement there. Yeah, that's y'all are saying all the right things. I think we see a bounce back game. Did you have anything else you wanted to say there about them, Jackson?
I was just gonna say the Big 12. Like you can look at most of the teams. They can beat almost anybody any given week, except for Oklahoma State. Like West Virginia could beat Colorado any given week or somebody. It's kind of crazy just how competitive it is. Almost from top to bottom.
Yeah. All right, so Jackson, you kick us off here. Unranked Michigan, after the tough season they've had, they're going to face number 2 Ohio State at Ohio State. Ohio State is a 20.5-point favorite here. And after losing, how many is it straight Ohio State has lost to them in this? Yeah, 3 straight. Do they finally break it this year?
Yes, and they're gonna, if they have an opportunity to run the score up, they're gonna run the score up.
They're going to be jerks about it.
I just don't like. Michigan has such a narrow path to even make this competitive, and it's their defense dominating. And you know what, Will Johnson, I remember the last time he's played, he's been hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, they would have to make it a very low scoring, very ugly game. And
I thought Will Johnson went to Alabama. That's a joke. I remember when that was being talked about. Sorry.
Low blow.
Low blow. Sorry.
Ohio State's going to be fired up to play in this game and win it by a lot. Like they're just a much better team on both sides of the ball. It's in Ohio State as well. Like I don't. It's kind of weird to say. I'm not even all that interested in this game. Like South Carolina Clemson is the best noon game. Like I watch that one instead.
Agreed.
Yeah. Torres.
Yeah, Ohio State is one of those things. It's a rivalry game, it's the aspect of it. Have to respect it, but I think this is one of those things we look at it. Ohio State is having shows over Michigan. Give me Ohio State.
All right, Kobe.
Yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet. Michigan, congrats on Bryce Underwood, but as far as this year, Alex Orji has been a total disappointment. His development has been very disappointing. With that being said, I think Ohio State is starting to really have some confidence. I don't think they were too confident against Oregon, but I think they've gained a lot of confidence since then. I think Ohio State's getting ready to make a big push. Not only that, it's a rivalry. They haven't won this game in 3 years. Ohio State's going to dog walk them in every fashion.
Yeah. I'll agree with everybody here. Once again, rounded out, Ohio State covering the 20.5 points. You're going to see some stuff like Steve Spurrier used to pull out against Georgia back when he was at Florida. They're going to run this thing up like Jackson said. They're going to be some real haters in this one, man.
I'll make one quick point. The most hilarious thing that could happen this weekend is Michigan win this game, and then Ohio State fans just having a stroke because they can't beat this Michigan team.
Yeah.
If that happens, that would be nuts. And it could, but the odds of it happening are just really, really stupid.
The odds
low.
of Oklahoma holding Bama the way they did was slim to none. Anything can happen.
Sure.
Anything can
And Michigan does have a defense.
I'll tell you what, though. We ain't seen foolishness like this in any other conference. Majority of the foolishness has been happening in the SEC. I didn't know.
Michigan needs like multiple defensive scores in this game.
Yeah,
they
like,
will.
Davis Warren scoring on this defense, like, get out of here.
I mean, but with that being said, Ohio State's offensive line.
I agree. And you got to block Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham. So
yeah, their offensive line.
I think Ohio State, didn't they lose their starting center too? He's out for this season. Yeah, so that's kind of a big deal. That's probably a storyline.
They have a backup tackle playing guard or a backup guard having to play tackle. Like they already had offensive line issues before that.
This is one of those games. I don't know. Could we see some stuff like we normally see with Auburn, Alabama?
Is this a trap game for Ohio State?
No. Trap games to me are ones you overlook. Like
they're not overlooking this one. That's for sure.
Ryan Day has been getting raked over the coals by those people up there for losing 3 straight times to Michigan. Like this Michigan team, if he lost this game, it would be unbelievable.
At home, they're not losing this one, but. By gosh, if Michigan don't come out and maybe at least make them sweat a little bit, I don't know. It could happen. It could. You're going to get their best punch. They're going to try to save this season kind of like Venables did last night. He's going to try to pull out some stops on national television to at least help him with recruiting or, give some momentum going into next season, something like that, because their season's it's been over for quite some time. They've known that, so maybe they can make something out of it here late in the season. All right. Let's see. Number 6, Notre Dame. They are going to USC. They are favored by 7 points. Notre Dame has been on fire. We've kind of talked about them as, we've said, a dark horse potentially in the college football playoff. USC, not quite a great season, at least after the fast start they had to the year. I remember Jackson taking that early, victory lap, in the season, and after I failed on my LSU pick once again. Sorry, Kobe. I did it again. But it is at the Rose Bowl. It is in USC. So, I mean, could it mean something? I don't know. There is some beef between these two. It's always been. This is rivalry week.
Yeah.
Notre Dame playing to keep their playoff spot. USC maybe just playing just to, like I said, just be the spoilers. Like I said about Michigan, maybe get some recruiting momentum going. Maybe just to get some momentum going into next season. Who knows? Lincoln Riley might need to just pull something out just to pull something out. This is when those teams that have nothing to lose, you're gonna see some crazy crap from, bro. They're gonna pull everything out. So you're gonna see some really good stuff from USC tomorrow or this weekend. I'm a little sketched on this one, man. I am, but I'm going to ride with Notre Dame. I'm going to ride with them. I'm going to say they're able to pull this one out and they at least win it by a touchdown. So give me them right there.
I'm going to say this. So looking at USC throughout how they played throughout the entire season, all their losses have been one score. There's not been a game where they have just been like absolutely manhandled. They have been in every single game. Heck, went overtime with Penn State. Lost Michigan on that last minute run. Lost to Washington by 5. They have been within every game. And I definitely think with them playing at home, a Notre Dame team, this is a big rivalry game. I definitely think this is going to be a hard game for Notre Dame because in Notre Dame's thinking, technically, in all technicality, this is Notre Dame's so-called conference championship. This is the only game Notre Dame has to win, and they're in the playoffs. Now, I still feel like they'll be in the playoffs regardless, but you take away any of the...
Will they, though?
I don't know about that.
Just because of how all the other teams have been losing, I feel like they should. But
Well,
regardless...
about unranked wins, and you have 2 pretty bad unranked wins, I don't know if they would just...
One really, 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 really bad unranked win, and then another, unranked win.
Another team that, how many losses does USC have right now?
I think they got 6, right?
5. They're 6-5.
5?
6-5, yeah.
But I'm telling you, having 4 ranked wins is definitely going to help on your case. It is. It is what it is.
Yeah.
You can say what you want, but look, there's a reason why Notre Dame is ranked number 6, y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all can, hey, you know what they're going to do.
Still hate them.
You know what they're going to do. But regardless, I definitely think this is going to be their conference championship moment, and I think they're going to try to do their best to take advantage of it. Give me Notre Dame. As surprising as this may be, I don't think they covered them. Give me USC to
field goal.
By a field goal. I think it'll be a last-second field goal. I think it's going to be a neck-and-neck game always.
Yeah. Oh,
wow. I agree with Torres on that one. I've watched USC a lot more than I'd like to admit this year. I've seen Miller Moss make elite plays in the fourth quarter of games this year. They've lost a couple games where he's just kind of died out whenever it was clutch time, but there was also some games not early against LSU this year. We saw Miller Moss just make plays and win them that game.
Oh.
And Torres made a good point. They've been in one possession of every game they've lost this year. I think Notre Dame wins this game overall, but I think USC can cover that spread.
Well, I mean, Miller Moss is on the bench, though, is the thing. He got that Jaden Maeva kid from UNLV.
When was this?
It was 2 weeks that the past couple games, they benched him before the Nebraska game, and that kid started. He started last night in the win against UCLA.
Former Georgia commit, Jaden Maeva.
He
was committed for 24 hours.
Give me Notre Dame to win and cover.
There's some things about this game because on one hand, USC's weakness is our offensive line, and whatever you will say about Notre Dame, their defensive line is pretty good, and they could really just overwhelm USC. At the same time, I'll just go through their schedule and you tell me which offense scares you the most. Army, Virginia, Florida State, Navy, Georgia Tech with their 3rd best quarterback, Stanford, Miami, Ohio, Purdue, Northern Illinois. The one time they played a good passing attack all year was Louisville, and Louisville was able to put some points up there. USC does have athletes at receiver, and I'll say this, watching, because I was worried about this.
Could be a scare.
State game, because Penn State, again, whatever you want to say about Penn State, they have a very good front 7 and a couple of pass rushers that are going to go in the first round of the draft this upcoming
as they normally do.
Yeah, and USC blocked them a lot better than I thought, and Lincoln Riley pulled some things out of the bag, and he really went all out to try to win that game and did some stuff I've not seen them do all year because I've watched every one of their games. I think that's going to happen here. I think Notre Dame wins, but I do see the path for USC because it did surprise me when I looked this morning at the spread. It was only 7. Notre Dame we're talking about as a playoff contender and possible dark horse to win it all. only a 7-point favorite over a 5-loss team.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So what do you have officially as your pick?
I'll ride those guys' coattails. I'll say Notre Dame wins, but they don't cover.
Okay.
That's fair.
All right. We got next number 8 Miami traveling to Syracuse to play Fran Brown. Love Fran Brown. I very talk highly of him. They are 11-point favorites going into Syracuse. Syracuse, I mean, decent season, I guess you could say, for them up to this point. Jackson, how do you have this one going?
So, I do think there is a matchup to watch here because I think we all know Miami's defense, especially the secondary, is not great. Literally no other team throws the ball more than Syracuse. Kyle McCord has 52 more passing attempts than the next closest quarterback. They throw it a lot. I do see a scenario in which Miami's defense just can't stop. Syracuse has some legit dudes on offense, like Rondé Gadsden,
They do.
a tight end in the NFL. They have some guys that can play. I just think Miami.
Jackson Meeks has had a pretty good year there, transferring from Georgia.
Yeah. The thing is, Syracuse's defense is bad. It's worse than Miami's. I don't think they're going to be able to stop Cam Ward, and I don't think they'll be able to block Miami's front four. The good thing about Miami's defense is they have a very good defensive line. I don't think Syracuse can block them. I actually think I'll say Syracuse covers in this game. I think they'll put some points on the board. I can't. I also think this is going to become a trendy pick throughout the week. I bet this gets below double digits.
It does.
This will just become – and sometimes trendy picks win, but a lot of the times they just fall short because everybody's just on it. I like Miami to win, but I actually think Syracuse keeps it within maybe a touchdown.
Yeah.
Kobe?
Give me Miami. I think Cam Ward and them boys, they're going to look to make a statement because I think there is a little bit of doubt in the ACC. With me included, I think it's SMU's conference to lose right now because we've seen Miami struggle. We think how different would Miami's season have been if that Hail Mary against Virginia Tech counted the other way. You know what I mean? Miami has just too many close calls this year. I think Cam Ward is going to look to make a statement. I think Miami is going to have the biggest chip on their shoulder. I think Miami wins and covers.
Torres?
I've been on here saying I think Miami is one of the most overrated teams in the country. I'm not sold on them at all. I do not like them. But, hey, I definitely think they win this game, but I don't think they cover. They have close games throughout the entire season. They keep it close. They have no defense. All it is an offensive showdown against anybody they play. The moment they run into a team with actual defense, they get shut down. I know it's going to happen. And then I don't think it's going to – sadly, I don't think it's going to happen in the ACC championship game. I don't think SMU is going to be able to stop Cam Ward, actually. So we'll see. But I think Miami is on the verge of going towards the ACC title.
Yeah, give me Syracuse to keep it close. I think they can keep it closer than that 11-point spread. Offensively, and I think Fran Brown's going to do some stuff defensively to at least get a stop here or there to kind of make it close. All right, Torres, you reside up there in the Tennessee Hills. Number 11, Tennessee, come in as a away favorite. They're 10.5-point favorites here going to Vanderbilt. Do you see some trickery happening this weekend, or do you think Tennessee finishes the season off strong?
Let me tell you something. It's sad because I think this is going to this potentially could open the doors. Tennessee, I don't care what y'all say. If anybody has watched Tennessee, I sadly have watched Tennessee games and they come on the freaking TV. But that's why I have 3 of them, just to keep that one over there by itself with all that orange. I don't care for it. But Tennessee is a team that is so freaking how can I say this? They're like an ugly watching SEC team. It is just bad. They just play bad. And they still are able to win because of their defense. But a Vandy team knowing that they can destroy the season of a Tennessee after beating a team like Alabama this year, after having the season that nobody ever expected for them to have. This is a Tennessee must-win. And in Tennessee must-win games, when the last time have they must-win something? Exactly. I'm going upset on this one. And this is give me Vanderbilt to beat Tennessee.
That knocks them out of the playoff. If that happens, that's definitely.
And it just gonna and this is when I think the 3-team shot. Somebody will get an opportunity to come in. Sadly.
Yeah. Jackson, what you say?
Yeah, Vandy and USC could absolutely just make things so crazy this weekend. They're the 2 teams I'm watching most. this is another one. This is just going to become such a trendy pick, and like I just think Tennessee is just going to overwhelm them at different spots. Like their defensive line, like Vanderbilt's not going to be able to block them. I think they're going to come into this knowing they have to win this to get into the playoff, because I do think if they win this, like they're pretty safely in, especially after yesterday. Give me Tennessee to win and cover. I think they take care of business. I'm not sold on Tennessee, but I like them to beat Vandy.
I ain't sold on them either. Sorry, Tim.
All right. Kobe.
Give me Tennessee to win and cover, because if you think about it, 48 hours ago, Tennessee was thinking they're on the outside looking in and all this. And then yesterday happened and it busted the floodgates wide open. Tennessee knows they have no room for error. They can see how quickly these kind of games can sneak up on you. I think they're going to walk in there. I think they're going to handle business. I think they're going to do better than what Bama did against Vandy. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not quite sure how well Vandy is going to play. Maybe they just got up to beat Bama, or maybe they're actually a decent team that's worthy of looking at. I'm gonna take the first option there. Give me Tennessee to win and cover.
Well, I mean, Vanderbilt, they got up for some other teams, didn't they? I mean, they kept it close with Texas. They did beat, Kentucky. They kept it close. They only lost to Texas by 3. They only lost to Missouri by 3. They've had a pretty solid season, man. They really have. Like we got to give props to Vanderbilt. They've had a pretty solid year. I think they're trying to build something there. And like Torres says, I don't know. A lot of people were hyping up. It feels like it happened more in the past 4 or 5 years, where they come in with this hype, at least every year to the Georgia game, where it's like a win and you're coasting kind of thing, and they just always kind of blow it. Georgia just has their number. I don't know if Vanderbilt will be able to kind of have that. Maybe they've picked up on some stuff throughout the season, but I think 10.5, that 10 and a hook is just a little, I don't know, it's a little enticing. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to take Vanderbilt to stay within that 10.5. Kobe, you're going to take this one on. Number 18, South Carolina, your boy Beamer is traveling to Death Valley to face number 17, Clemson. Clemson is a 2.5-point home favorite here. How do you see this one going, man?
Hey, give me the Beamer boys, man. I think South Carolina wins outright. South Carolina is one of the best teams in college football right now. You would have to provide a very convincing argument for me that in a power ranking, South Carolina is not top 15 in the country. I think South Carolina is a very good team. I think Shane Beamer has – I want to sit there and say he's turned the program around, but in all actuality – they're kind of hovering at the same spot that they peaked at whenever they had Spencer Rattler. You know what I mean? Like that season, they beat Tennessee and Clemson. They only had, 8 wins that year, if that. But with that being said, he knows how to wake those boys up to go win a big game. I don't have any faith in Dabo at this point. I really don't. I don't have faith in that program. I've told Jackson numerous times, we talked about Dabo. Until Dabo makes certain philosophy changes in his program, I think there's always going to be a way for him to lose games like these. Give me South Carolina to win outright.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you here. South Carolina, give me them to win this one outright as well. I'm out on Dabo. I'm out on Clemson. South Carolina's hot at the moment. They got some dogs. They got some good players, and they're only going to continue to add there. From what I'm hearing, they're slinging some money around to some more defensive line prospects, and got to give them credit. That's kind of what you need to do. That's where you need to kind of put your money at, and I feel like, and that is shown to be successful for Saban, for Kirby. So he's kind of building it out how he needs to. Kevin Wynn, keep your eyes out for him. 4-star defensive lineman. I think he's going to be going there. But I think they come in, they win this game. Who are the guys they got? The 2 edge rushers. There's
Kennard and Stewart.
Yes, both of them are just studs. They're going to be able to run the ball. The quarterback's been playing pretty good. They got some good players, and he's fired up. I think they go in. Is this what time is this game? Is this a
noon game?
A noon game? Yeah.
This is the second best game of the day. Obviously, besides the Texas A&M.
Yeah, we're gonna get there.
This game of the day, and I know y'all both took South Carolina, but I'm going opposite end, man. I'm going with Clemson. I really think Clemson has one of those teams where they can click, especially when they're playing at home against a South Carolina team like this. Now, in terms of talent, I do think this South Carolina team definitely probably on the board is better overall than Clemson. But I think
There's
Dabo,
spots.
yeah, it's spots. I agree with you. But I think Dabo is probably can outcoach Beamer in this one. This is a like those
Can he?
must-win games. This is one of those must-win games where I think Clemson is gonna rise to the occasion, as we've seen before. And because you gotta remember, well, this is my projection. Clemson win this game, they're in the playoffs. There's no because they know they're not unless Miami loses to Syracuse, then they can play the ACC championship game. But we're just going with the favorite.
Yeah, they'll have 2
Clemson
losses. They'll just beat North South Carolina. So
Yeah.
you're probably right.
So if Clemson wins this game, and because we got to see the rankings that comes out Tuesday, so they're obviously not going to be at 17. They're going to be up closer. I think Clemson wins this
Probably
game.
like 12 or 13, realistically.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
we're putting Clemson in the playoffs without them having to play in the ACC championship game.
Mhm.
This is a very, very big must win. And so is it for South Carolina because Coach made a good point. You could have a case that South Carolina could be in over Alabama. Yes, Alabama had the head-to-head, but South Carolina has beaten all these other teams, so it's like it's tight, but give me Clemson.
Jackson.
Man, I came into this wanting to agree with Torres because, again, this is even though Clemson is favored, I think everybody is on South Carolina. Everybody's talking about South Carolina, and I was like, man, Dabo at home, like
I know.
I got to go South Carolina. I just don't
Yeah.
have any faith. Anymore.
Just don't feel right, man, going with
It's
Dabo.
just not the same as
I just don't trust Dabo.
That's why well, and it's also the defense. Like Lenore Sellers is playing lights out right now. Like he is really putting
He is.
games.
Yes, he is.
Two,
Rocket Sanders, Nick Harbor showing up. Like,
Yeah, he's actually made some appearances, yeah.
Clemson's defense is solid, but it like Louisville kind of tore it apart a little bit. Georgia had their way, and those were the only 2 real offenses they played all year. I think momentum's with South Carolina. Former Yellow Jacket Kyle Kennard will have probably a good game in this one. Just give me South Carolina.
All right, speaking of Yellow Jackets, Jackson, you can kick us off right here. Your Yellow Jackets, okay? They are facing number 10 Georgia in Athens this Friday. Georgia, this one shocked me when I was going through and looking at the spreads. Georgia is a 20-point favorite here. That is stupid. But go ahead and tell me how you think.
not a chance.
Not a chance to cover those 20.
The spread kind of shocked me too, just based off what we've seen Georgia Tech do, like against Miami and the style of play that they have, and then Georgia having a couple losses, giving up over 200-something yards rushing to UMass. I was a little surprised. I think Georgia has one of the best home fields. Like that obviously factors into it because, like, it's funny. We were talking about that South Carolina game. That was the last home game Georgia lost, was that weird game to South Carolina, and that was 5 years ago. So, like, to me, I think they need Georgia Tech has to follow a similar path to how they beat Miami. They need to control the clock and control the possessions. Like, they don't need to be trying to get in the shootout with Georgia because Georgia Tech's defense, like, I know, like, a lot of people don't realize this, but, like, they have improved a ton. Like, they're a top 15 rushing defense, and they are a top 30, like, points per game allowed. Where they struggle is pass rush, which they were able to do a little bit better last week in some games, and in creating turnovers, which is another thing. Like, they got 3 turnovers against NC State, but it's a little different here. It's going to take Carson Beck playing one of those weird games he's had this year where he has turned the ball over like he did against Florida, like he did against Ole Miss, and like he has in some other
Even
games.
against Texas. I mean, he did it 3 times. Yeah,
and then Georgia Tech controlling the game with their running game and limiting the possessions that Georgia has. I think they're going to have to rush for probably 200 plus in this game. I mean, they rushed for 270 against Miami.
Yeah.
And the quarterback thing, like Haynes King, the running is very good. He's also still not fully healthy. Like, that's the reason we've seen him and Aaron Philo split time here. Like, Haynes King.
Philo's been looking good.
And he had a great game Thursday against NC State. Like, go look at Pro Football Focus. He was the highest graded quarterback in the country.
Wow.
This entire weekend. Like, he had a 94 grade this weekend. But also, if it's kind of the same dynamic as Haynes King comes in for running, because he was basically just a running back against Miami. Like, he carried it 3 times, he threw it 3 times. And he's a great athlete. And, like, he gave Georgia trouble last year running this offense.
Yep.
I also think, Buster Faulkner usually cooks up good game plans in these big games, and he will throw the kitchen sink at this one because I'll just tell you, there is no person that wants to beat Georgia more than Brent Key does. I mean, he played at Georgia.
Of course.
And he was like, I think 3-1 against Georgia when he was a player, and then they haven't beat Georgia since 2016. He talks about it a lot. He wants to end this losing streak and make this more competitive. I think they cover. I just don't see them being able to win this game in Athens. I think it'll be closer than 20 points. I would be surprised if Georgia just dominated them. But again, Georgia plays different at home because, again, where Carson Beck has struggled has been on the road, and it's been against teams that can just beat up Georgia physically. Like Ole Miss has a great defensive line. Even Florida has some more athletes, and that's where Georgia Tech's catching up. Like they're doing well in recruiting, but they're still catching up and getting bodies. I just don't think they're going to be able to play 4 quarters all the way through. I think Georgia wins something like 31-17.
Yeah, night game doesn't help either.
That's
yeah,
what I'm saying. And also the fact that like Georgia absolutely needs to win this game because like last year, it was close and like Tech played really well, but also I don't think Georgia took the game seriously.
Yeah, Georgia kind of played with it, man.
They sat Bowers, and then Kirby, like Georgia Tech's defense was so bad last year. It's like he was running on 3rd and 10 and getting they made a comeback in that game and almost, they almost recovered the onside kick to try to go tie it up. But it was also, I don't think Georgia took that game seriously at all, knowing that they had Alabama the next week. I think it's different because Georgia Tech's a better team than they have been.
They are.
Yeah. So they have 7 wins coming into this game, which hasn't happened in a long time. And then also think like Georgia again has to win this game because if you lose this, then it's do or die next week. Like if you win this, I think you're in the playoff. Like if you win this game, you're good to go, in my opinion. So
okay. Yeah, I'll take Georgia to win, just not to cover that 20 points. I think I know better. I just know better. Kobe, what do you think?
Just go ahead and get it out there. I think Georgia wins. I don't think Georgia covers this spread.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech is a solid team from top to bottom, in my view. Like, thank you, God, for Jackson Caudell, because I would have missed out on good football being played if it weren't for Jackson updating me on Georgia Tech every week. I'm so serious. I've tuned into a lot of their games this year.
Shout out to all Yellow Jackets.
Shout out to the Yellow Jackets, man. I watched them against Miami. I watched them against Florida State beginning of the year. I watched Georgia Tech win games that they shouldn't, and honestly, that started before this year. They beat Miami last year. Like, Miami can show up against teams that you would think they had no chance of beating, but turns out they can show up. They can win you a game. Playing in Athens is hard. I think Georgia Tech's going to have a big chip on the shoulder, but I think Kirby Smart ultimately is the deciding factor here. He is a coach that is going to settle a team down and rein them in because outside of Georgia football, it's just pure chaos with the college football playoffs, the SEC championship. Everybody's talking about every other hypothetical possibility. Kirby's the type of coach that can ground you and bring you back to reality and say, hey, we got to take it one game at a time. Give me Georgia to win, but I do think Georgia Tech keeps it within that spread.
Yeah. Torres, round us out.
Yes, Georgia wins, but we don't cover. Look, I wasn't impressed with last week, obviously.
You were big mad. I was just
yes, the defense was absolutely booty. I don't care what
it was bad.
It was bad. We can't tackle. Our tackle is atrocious.
It's been that all year, bro.
I know, but yesterday was like, I know it's been like that all year, but yesterday was bad, man. Like, you talking about Jackson? Talking about like last year we run on Georgia Tech on 3rd and 10 to get it. UMass was running the ball on us on 3rd and 10 and was getting it, and like it was. I couldn't sit there and keep watching. I was so mad. I was like, this is awful. Like, I was like, thank God we're not going to play the SEC championship game because this is awful.
Right.
Now we got to play in it. And they ain't giving me that much hope. So, like, man, I definitely think, we're going to beat Georgia Tech. I wouldn't be surprised if, who knows, man? Cause like,
if they come in and make us sweat, I'm not going to be shocked.
If Oklahoma
I'm really not.
can beat Bama, Georgia Tech can beat Georgia. Let's be real about this.
Okay.
Yeah, they can.
Yes.
Any given Saturday.
I'm not saying they don't have a chance. I just do, if I have to pick it, I'm not picking. Georgia Tech to win.
Any given Saturday, baby.
Beck ain't dude. Boy. I have so much dude.
Go ask Cam Ward about him. Go ask him.
Yeah.
Go ask him. Come on now.
Yeah, I mean,
listen. A lot of people will say Georgia broke Florida State. No, Georgia Tech set the tone beginning of this year and busted Florida State wide open. That was Georgia Tech. Come on, they can show up for this game.
I'll say this: they've covered the last 2 years under Brent Key. Like, the year Georgia beat TCU, it was something crazy. It was like 36 or 37 point spread, and it was a 13-7 game in the third quarter. Last year, it was a 25-point spread, and Georgia only won by what was it, 8, 9, something like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, that shows you.
like, there are not many coaches that have done better as an underdog with him. Again, I don't think they win this game, but this is the kind of game he wins. Like, he just finds a way to get to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just who broke Florida State? It was the committee. The committee broke Florida State. When they didn't put them in that college football playoff, them boys quit. They were done. That was the end of it. They were done. So they were done. That's who did it. All right, Kobe, while you're talking, go ahead and tell us about the Iron Bowl. Auburn coming in unranked, going to number 7 Alabama at the moment. Alabama is 11.5-point favorite here. How do you see this one going?
I don't. I can't. I couldn't possibly tell you a prediction for this game. I have no expectation for Alabama football at this point. It's still a very
Peyton Thorne's running the ball pretty good too. White guy running the ball as a quarterback. I don't know. Could present some issues.
And Cam Coleman is a freak of nature, true freshman wide receiver. Give me Alabama to win. I don't think we cover. Auburn is in the right position to just go ahead and destroy all spirit and crush our souls. Like, that's what Auburn
I'm
wants.
sure they want to as well.
Auburn Jesus doesn't like us. He's a real thing, and yes, you should be scared of him. Auburn has the most magical luck in the world. I don't know how they do it.
It's not at Jordan Air though.
I don't care.
So I'm just saying it's
care.
Not there. If it was there, then I would definitely be on Auburn.
I just watched Jalen Milroe throw 2 interceptions in a matter of 2 possessions. I have no confidence whatsoever. I really don't.
You know what's funny about this spread? You see Georgia as a 20-point favorite, and you would think an Alabama team, especially this year, with all the weapons that they have, should be a 25-point favorite over this Auburn team, and they're only 11.5. This is just.
Well, I think they bake in how this rivalry has been in the past as well. Like we've seen.
Yeah, this is the most
Auburn can go the whole season playing like dog crap, and then they show up. This is their Super Bowl, bro. They show up for this one.
You're right.
They show up for this one.
They're licking their chops, thinking if Pavia can beat Alabama, Thorne can do it too. Like, they're licking their chops. I'm so serious.
Heck, if Arnold can do it, Thorne can do it. Arnold sucked all year.
Thank you. If Jackson
Arnold sucked all year, and then he turned into Johnny Manziel last weekend.
Oh my God. I remember me and Jackson were talking about Arnold and just the demise of his career, because we thought Arnold
He looked great out of high school.
Look, we thought Arnold was going to be up there probably up there with Alar and Cade Klubnik. And I remember I sent Jackson.
I love Klubnik a lot too. He's shown some little spurts here and there.
There was a middle part of this season where I sent Jackson. I was like, Drew Alar, Cade Klubnik, Jackson Arnold. Were those guys just overrated coming out of high school? Like,
yeah, mediocre group. Mediocre group.
Yeah, I remember the Jackson Arnold stuff like that. And the weird thing is they pushed Dylan Gabriel out the door so they could start him.
Literally.
Yeah, that's what's weird. That's what's weird. I'll agree with you here. I think Alabama wins in Tuscaloosa. But Auburn is going to make this one close, man. I think Auburn, if this was at Jordan Air, I'd pick Auburn to win it outright. I still think Auburn's going to be a thorn in the side this weekend. They're going to keep this one close, I think. I do think they got some weapons. They're just catching fire at the right time, man. They really are. They're like Kansas. They're like Florida. They're starting to get hot right now for some crazy reason. And, like you said, Cam Coleman is emerging. We knew the talent was there. They're just now starting to really use it. The Lambert guy they got from Penn State starting to look pretty good. He was mossing folks yesterday. Hunter's running the ball pretty good. Thorne is even looking decent. If he can run the ball like Arnold, then they can stand a little bit of a chance. And they can pull some defensive stuff here and there. So they're going to keep this one close. The spread, even though it feels like it should be more, it still feels like they can keep this one close. I don't know. I think they keep it close. So I'll take Auburn with the points.
Yep.
It's just me now.
Well,
you and Torres.
Oh, Bama wins and covers. Like, I'm not a fan of Auburn. I know the voodoo stuff. Like, it's Auburn is a weird team. I just have a feeling Bama's going to come out with their hair on fire and win this game. I think defensively, I think they're going to figure some stuff out. I'm just not putting my eggs in the Peyton Thorne basket to win this game. Like last night, he was fine.
I'm not taking him to win. I'm taking him just to
I know.
be a literal thorn in their side.
Like,
see what I did there?
He can just make so many mistakes with the interceptions, the pick sixes that he's thrown this year. Like that's also a consistent thing from him. I think he'll get a bounce back game from Milroe. I think Bama's defense plays well. It's at home. I just have a feeling everybody's going to talk all week about this past weekend, the Oklahoma game, Auburn beating A&M. Auburn's going to be trendy is what I'm trying to say, and I think covers.
They will be. They will be.
Yeah, that's the reason why I think their spread is a little bit. It's just trying to get people to put money on Auburn. Vegas ain't stupid. Vegas is really smart. They say, "Oh, put your money on Auburn. Go ahead," because I actually really think Alabama is definitely going to cover. I definitely think last week was a little bit of an outlier of them beating Texas A&M. It happened, yes, but A&M at times is very inconsistent in themselves. Peyton Thorne looked phenomenal. He did, but I don't think Alabama this could potentially it could be, but this could potentially be the last home game for Jalen Milroe. The last home game for a lot of these guys. I think they definitely show out against Auburn, and I definitely think they cover, man. After having that bad of a win last week, and then the Auburn high of beating a team like Texas A&M is going to.
Auburn's playing for a bowl game here too, just so you know.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true.
I'm just saying. I mean, they're literally they are trying to win this game to be to do some type of postseason.
While we're on the topic, I need to ask y'all.
Milroe to the Steelers?
No.
I saw that in a mock draft. By the way, I saw that. That was in a mock draft. First round pick to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's why it's a mock.
Yeah.
Listen, there's every opportunity that Jalen Milroe could be what RG3 was supposed to be, and there's every opportunity that Jalen Milroe will get a general manager fired. Both possibilities are
Jamarcus Russell, RG3. Which one are we going to be?
Literally. But let me ask y'all this. If Alabama wins against Auburn, is 9-3 a successful first year for Kalen DeBoer?
No.
9-3. A lot of first year coaches would love a 9-3 season in the SEC.
A lot of first year coaches are not at Alabama.
That's true.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jackson. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say like some of the teams they lost. Like I didn't think Alabama was gonna go undefeated this year. Like I had them in the playoff. Like going undefeated is really, really hard, especially like they played some really good teams.
Yeah.
But, like getting smacked by a bad Oklahoma team, and then the losing to Vanderbilt. Like I know Vanderbilt's better, but it's Alabama should never lose to Vanderbilt. Like Georgia should never lose to Vanderbilt. Like if some teams just shouldn't lose to a team.
Georgia lost to Vandy and Kirby.
I know.
Yeah, I was at the game. I was there. But the expectations were not there. We weren't. Listen, hold on. Hey, whoa. Hey, where did your season end this last season?
The Final Four.
You were in the Final Four. Where did Georgia end the season before Kirby picked up? It was not anything like that, pal. Okay.
We played in a bowl game.
Jacob Eason. Okay, look him up. Is he in the league?
With that being said, when Kirby took
I don't even know.
Grayson Lambert.
Georgia was ranked in the top 10 composite when Kirby took over.
They're gonna rank him.
He didn't have. Oh, I'm sorry. He took over Nick Chubb. Boo hoo. He was horrible. Kirby took over.
Injured Nick Chubb at that because he had got injured.
Okay, you had Sony Michel.
Okay.
DeBoer picked up a top 4 program. He's got the 17-year-old phenom Ryan Williams. I don't know if you heard of the guy. He's got him on the team, man.
He's putting child labor on the field, and y'all expected him to just win a.
Oh God, get out of here! No, but
I'm saying
to be fair,
outside looking in, what would you think of Kalen DeBoer's first season if he finished
pretty successful? I mean, he beat LSU. Let's see if he beats Auburn. I mean, let's not. Jury ain't out just yet. Let's see how it goes. I don't want to say, I don't want to jinx anything, but losing to unranked Vanderbilt, that did hurt. Getting absolutely dominated by unranked Oklahoma, though, that is a huge thing. That just the way it happened, man. Like if you at least
Tennessee, we sleptwalked through Tennessee.
Yeah, like that. Those just hurt. It's just the expectations were higher for y'all. Like even you, dude. At one point in this season, remember what you said? What'd you say about DeBoer?
Stop
you said he was the greatest coach in college football.
Yes, you did.
That was the expectations you had set, my man.
Yes, you did.
I can whip out the receipts, my man.
I said you had an argument to be considered the top coach.
Boy, you were riding high that night.
After taking down the previously top-ranked coach in football, at that very point, I
a little
will
too high. Icarus.
stand on that position was valid.
But you flew too high.
And then we told you, just because you win the game, don't make you the best coach instantly.
Yeah.
Because he lost a whole
Kirby
lot
didn't
of
get
credit.
8 wins his first year at Georgia. Kalen.
Correct.
Yeah, but he lost a whole lot of
We
credit.
didn't. I honestly didn't expect it though. I didn't expect him to go in and just be a world beater, bro. I knew it was going to take time for him to put in his things. Because Rick don't run his program like Kirby does. Kirby was literally putting in what Bama, he had been doing at Bama. Like that takes time. DeBoer's going to have to do the same thing, but literally he inherited a pretty doggone good product, man. And they were just in the college football playoff. But the fact that this thing expanded to 12 teams, you have that team, you lose to 2 unranked teams, and you miss it. That does kind of suck.
We literally said on this show, all 4 of us together, because it's 12 teams, Alabama should never, and we said it for Georgia, they should never miss the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now, granted, with how
that's fair to say.
That is fair to say, and I didn't expect them to miss it. I will say I gave them. I said they would lose to Georgia. I said they would lose to Tennessee, and then I said
Tennessee and LSU.
Everybody said LSU.
Yes, everybody said LSU.
I did not.
Yeah, Jackson didn't. I did.
I did. So I gave them 3 losses.
I'm done with LSU.
I gave them 3 losses.
Yeah. Oh, so we're all collectively done with LSU?
Get him out of here.
I told y'all Brian Kelly was gone after this year.
They're no better than Penn State. They're no better than Notre Dame. They're frauds.
I don't think.
Get him out of here.
I don't think Brian Kelly is there next year. Especially after losing
I can't go that far.
I see no world.
I can't go that far.
They're not going to find. They're not paying $6 million.
Yeah, I can't go that far.
But I'll say this: the heat is really turning up on him because I thought his saving grace would be having Bryce Underwood, and that's gone now.
Hey, but here's the thing. Just because that happened don't automatically write the dude off. Because that money that he had allocated to Underwood, who's to say some guy throws his name in the portal? Hello, buddy. Come on down. You can take this money. You know what I'm saying? Like it can happen that quick, man. It can flip on a dime.
Last thing about Alabama and the 9-3 thing is just that some programs, whether it's fair or not, are going to have higher expectations.
They're held to a different standard,
That's what I'm saying. Ohio State's one of them. Texas for years has been one of them. USC should be one of them, but they're really not. LSU is one of them. Like some programs are just expected to win more in 99% of circumstances.
Kirby brought Georgia to where Georgia is now. Like when he came in, though, Georgia wasn't at that level, bro. It really wasn't.
The best winning percentage in college football, has multiple playoff appearances, has been to the national title. Yeah. And we were talking about him on the hot seat.
Yeah,
because he couldn't win one game.
Yeah,
some programs are like that.
Yeah. So that's it. So we all picked Bama to win it. It's just that me and Kobe picked Auburn to stay within the 11.5. Torres and Jackson said that Bama covers it. All right, last game. This one, the stakes are high. Whoever wins goes to the SEC championship game to face those Bulldogs, okay? Number 3, Texas. They are coming in as road favorites, 5.5-point road favorites, going into College Station to face Texas A&M. The Aggies coming off of a very heart-ripping loss to Auburn at Auburn. Do they bounce back here, Jackson?
Yes, I think Texas, it keeps going. It's like I don't think
Texas.
I worded that really poorly. Like again, I have reservations about Texas. Their offense sketches me out. They were finally able to run the ball yesterday against Kentucky. Like their running back injuries preseason to Baxter and the other kid that they had were
it's hurt them
coming into the year. They were able to run the ball a little bit yesterday.
I saw that.
And like that, they need to be doing that because again, I'm just kind of out on Quinn Ewers. Is this all do everything quarterback to go win you games? I just don't see how Texas A&M's will score on Texas. Like their defense is legit. I'm not a big Marcel Reed believer. I don't think they had game changers at receiver to make a difference against Texas's defense. Again, this isn't an endorsement of Texas as like a big time team. I think Texas A&M is still a year or two away.
Yeah.
Just Texas is the better team. They should win this game.
They're actually at the point, like, if you asked me this last week, I said if they lost this game, they were out. With everything that happened yesterday, I think Texas might be in regardless, to be honest. Like, just with everything that happened. But give me Texas and cover on the road.
Yeah.
All right, Kobe.
Give me Texas the winning cover. Simply because I think Texas on paper, I think they're better than A&M. I think they have better coaching than A&M. Don't get me wrong, I've been impressed at times with what A&M has done this year, but losing to Auburn, that's always a heartbreaker. With that being said, Texas has too much to lose. Texas really wants that opportunity at a first-round bye, and especially put their stamp on the first year in the SEC. They're going to come out swinging this game, and they're going to do everything they can to make it to that SEC championship and win it. So give me Texas the winning cover.
Torres.
You know, it's funny. I was thinking the same thing, Kobe. I said, man, how about this? Texas first year in the SEC.
They did it. They really
SEC
did.
SEC championship game. And not only that, they have an opportunity, you know, they could potentially win it. And you talking about a Texas team that a lot of people was like, man, you're finally coming to the SEC. You finally going to see which I don't think they played one of the tougher parts of the SEC of the schedule. But, hey, they still went through.
They're in the SEC.
There's
no argument. You know,
you beat a team like A&M. Heck, they beat Oklahoma on the road in Oklahoma, you know, where Alabama was not able to do that. So, you know, props to them. Texas is a really good team. I think they win this game, and I do think they cover. But I am not going to sleep on Texas A&M. I'm rooting for A&M. Mainly as a Georgia fan, I want to play A&M. Give me A&M.
Of course you do.
Give me A&M.
You're running, brother.
Hey, we don't care about running.
That's called running a marathon, brother.
We play whoever winning. Hey, I've seen this happen all the time in the NFL, where a team, the better team that can beat another team later on in the playoffs, lose early on, but hey, they just can't beat that team in front of them. I've seen that happen multiple times.
Y'all don't want to play Texas. Y'all would rather play Texas A&M.
Well, we don't beat Texas. Why we gotta beat them again? Hey, I learned something from
because
somebody.
You told me best that you told me more than anybody. It's hard to beat the same team twice.
You're right.
You're right. The second time.
You're right. So why play them twice? You're right. So why play them twice? Don't make it hard for yourself.
Exactly.
Hey, work smarter, not harder. But hey, it looks like we ain't gonna have no choice. I do think Texas will win this game.
Yeah, it feels like Texas is going to win it. A&M, you know, they still have a lot to play for here too. They can of course make it to the SEC championship game, and if they were to pull that one out, they would go to the college football playoffs. So I mean, there's still a lot on the line for both teams, you know, to be fair. But yeah, Texas first season in the SEC, it would be pretty huge to kind of make it that far, get some revenge against Georgia potentially, that kind of thing. The coach you think you can probably trust here more is Steve Sarkisian. He's been in the college football playoffs, so I mean, they've got probably, you would say, the better talent out of both of them. I do think A&M has the better defense. I'd say so. I think at least.
I don't know about that.
I'm sleeping on Texas's defense. I don't really care. I'm not as huge on it as y'all are.
If anything, Texas's defense has been a higher part of their team as of late.
I don't really.
They haven't had a bad
They are rated number 1 in the SEC, but it is dependent on who have they played throughout.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying. Yeah, I can pull that one out too now. Yeah, like that down right there. But you know, still Beck was able to put some points up against him, and he was even throwing picks. You know what I'm saying? So.
They had one long drive in that game. The rest of it come from like 20 yards short field. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you that much. I guess whoever we really go against, I don't really care. But yeah, it feels like Texas is going to win. I do think A&M can make this one close. They are going to come out fighting. I'm kind of like Torres here. I'm not going to sleep on A&M at all, but I feel like I have to go with Texas here to cover the 5.5 and win the ball game. So, I feel like if we all were Georgia fans here, we'd all pick that we would rather go against A&M, right?
Yeah.
Right, Kobe? You wouldn't? You'd rather face Texas?
There's no way, Kobe. Come on. You don't have to be a
Get your
I want to play the best at their best. I want to play the best at their best.
Hey, you know this even as an athlete. You say that. But even then, there are times when we're in the playoffs and you're playing a team, you're like, hey, man, they might beat that number 1 seed. You never know. Like, we always have the back. Obviously, we want the easier path towards the ultimate goal. But we ain't crazy. We know something's going to be harder to get there than another team. So we
Yeah.
start root for the underdog. Hey man, they beat them.
Hey,
They beat
listen.
Texas. They must be good.
Listen,
Obviously, we got up better.
I'll close this out on a crazy story. In high school, my senior year, Warner Robins undefeated, 14-0. We're playing in the semifinals at home against, I think, Clark Atlanta.
Y'all did.
Uh,
Lost to the Clark Atlanta day.
Playing in the semifinals, and the other semifinal game on the other side of the bracket was Buford versus Rome. That entire year, we had heard about the Buford Wolves, and we had heard that they were just nasty, and we didn't want to play them and everything else. We checked the score at halftime of our game. Rome was beating Buford 42-7, and Rome was the team that we wanted to play in the state championship because we thought we had a better chance of winning. So
was that the year that we went and watched them?
We
Torres?
did, Tyler. Yes,
Yeah.
that was the year.
That's the year they had four deep Division I linemen on their defensive line. Yeah, Adam Anderson, Elijah Griffin,
They were good.
CJ. There was two of them that went to Georgia Tech, I think, or one of them went to Miami, one of them went to Georgia Tech, one of them went to Georgia.
Georgia Tech, the Griffin boys.
And the running back is now. I told Torres this. Jemias Griffin. He's out at Oklahoma State or Oregon State. He's out at Oregon State. Yeah. Crazy. The quarterback was pretty good for that team too. That was a really good team. It really was.
But that's the thing. Rome was the team
They destroyed y'all.
We thought we had a better chance against Rome than Buford, and sure enough, we had no chance against.
So you were playing in that game?
Yeah, he was.
So I watched you before I even knew you. Would you look at that?
It was 30.
I watched that butt whooping.
Yeah, we got
belt to you know what.
Not only did they shut us out in Warner Robins, Georgia at the MAC, they jumped us on our sideline and wore us out after the game. Like they put their foot on our necks and they did not let up. Like Rome beat us.
That was a bad team. I remember a couple years ago going into the college football playoff, I was like, God, I really hope we somehow end up getting the seed where we draw TCU and not Ohio State. Remember that? We ended up getting Ohio State.
We did.
And it worked out, baby. It worked out.
And we argued on this, and I said, we knew the harder matchup was going to be.
That was the national
Ohio
championship.
State. And I said, just because of how we matched up defensively, and Ohio State, that was one of those toss-up games. They would have beat TCU, we would have beat TCU, or what we did beat. Like, it didn't matter. Whoever won that game was the champion. So
I feel so bad for TCU. Like, they had a great season. They made the national title. They get nothing but slandered nowadays. This is a nice word. The greatest team in TCU history. They did something nobody thought they could do. Every time anybody brings that team up, it's one game.
Yeah.
And you know what makes it worse?
It's sad.
Florida State was a repeat, going undefeated, best season they've had in a decade.
I don't think
just to turn around
that's
to
different,
have two
though,
wins.
That's way different. That's way different.
They didn't play their starters. They didn't play their starters, man. They didn't play majority of their guys. They literally did. They literally.
He bought that entire team.
I don't care if Florida State didn't play their starters. Georgia was winning that football game.
Oh yeah, we were definitely winning, but dude, it just.
Come on.
Yeah, it was that much worse because they didn't play any of them.
Some of the players that were playing this year played in that bowl game last year against a Brock Bowers, who's literally leading in the NFL. Like, it was not happening. We were gonna run through them boys regardless. So
yeah, I agree.
And it's kind of like, that year Georgia, Alabama, it came down to the wire in the SEC championship game, 2011, 2012? Yeah. Whoever won that game was winning the national championship because freaking Notre Dame. Notre Dame.
I went back. We was having an argument yesterday at Logan Gordon's house about the Notre Dame team, and we went back and looked at their schedule. Notre Dame actually beat some good teams that year.
They did, but the thing is, we all knew. We all knew they were going to get their tail tore up.
After going back and looking, I was like, man, they Notre Dame beat a lot of ranked.
Who'd they beat? Go ahead and tell me.
They went to Oklahoma and beat Oklahoma by like 3 touchdowns.
That's right. And beat a ranked USC team. They had beat a lot of good teams.
But they were reeling going into that natty because remember all the Manti allegations were out by then.
And then not only that, I love the Manti Te'o clip now of him just saying what the feeling was when Notre Dame had to watch Alabama lead the tunnel first and just the fear that was in that tunnel. So Notre Dame knew they were screwed.
Right. So even though some of these later Brian Kelly teams, the one that lost to the Trevor Lawrence Clemson team that won the Natty, and then the 2020 Alabama team, which is an all-time great team, like Yes, you can make fun of Notre Dame for getting blown out, but Clemson blew out Alabama in the title game that year, and literally nobody was within 2 touchdowns of Bama that 2020 year. So, I mean, you were playing the best college coach of all time in the best dynasty of all time in their head. So, I just kind of shrugged my shoulders like, Bama lost to A&M that year. Bama was going to probably kill whoever made the national title.
So, wait, Ohio State. So, Notre Dame beat Ohio State
Notre Dame
that
beat
year?
Ohio State that year?
Did they?
Notre Dame.
Holy crap.
Wow.
Because he's an Ohio State fan.
2012.
I remember vaguely, I watched the Manti Te'o documentary on Netflix. I remember him saying how successful they were that season.
Yeah, they beat a Stanford team. They beat that Stanford team in 2012.
Andrew Luck?
That's right.
Yep.
He was talking about Clemson. He was talking about Clemson beat Ohio State that year. Yeah. Who was Notre Dame's quarterback that year?
It was Everett Golson.
Oh my God! Talk about a throwback. Everett Golson.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, what a throwback.
Y'all remember when he transferred to Florida State?
Stop.
I do not.
No, so you remember when Georgia Tech beat Florida State off the block field goal?
Yeah, that guy that ran it back. I played rec ball with him.
Yeah, Everett Golson was the FSU's quarterback that game.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, we're getting old, fellas.
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
I
We are.
didn't know he transferred from. I did not know.
Yeah,
It's
now
time
we're
to wrap
back
this
to
one up.
transferring wasn't really a thing, but I think he was he had an extra year of eligibility, and he had to sit a year at when he transferred from Notre Dame, and after Jameis left, Jimbo brought him in. I think they were 10-2. They lost to Houston in the Peach Bowl.
And you know what the crazy part is? Do you know who was supposed to be Florida State's quarterback after Jameis left?
Is it Francois?
Jake Coker.
Yeah.
It was Jake Coker was Jameis's backup before he transferred to Bama.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I
Thought it was Francois.
Blake Coker was he was in a quarterback battle with Jameis Winston before he transferred,
Wow.
and he had a solid chance of winning it.
Yeah.
quarterback battle in name only.
I love talking college football, man. This is fun. But man, we've been at this for over 2 hours, so we've got to put a ribbon on this one, fellas, because we just got to. So any last things? Anybody want to plug in? Jackson, plug in the Yellow Jackets. Tell them about them.
Georgia Tech on SI. Go check it out. I'm gonna have 1,000 articles this week. It's one of the weeks I look forward to. Not just for the game. It's just a huge week. Atlanta Hawks
Recruiting right now.
Yes, flip it.
Had some major flips.
Tay Harris, big win there.
Number 2 class in the ACC right now, Georgia.
I love it.
So, and
Pretty good.
There's more on the way. I'll just leave it at that.
Yes, sir.
Give us a little taste.
No.
No, can't do that. Wow, nothing. Wow.
We'll see what's coming.
It's gonna be behind a paywall. Okay, everybody go there. I'm joking.
Yeah, I don't make nobody pay. I'll
Subscribe to the Patreon, and you can find out from there. I'm just kidding.
The Caldell OnlyFans. We're good.
Yeah, Claudia.
Me and Buzz the Yellow Jacket. That's the
There you go. Oh, I'm playing.
And if you're an NBA fan and you want to read about a mid team, go check out Atlanta Hawks on SI.
Yeah. Hey,
All
also,
right.
are we having a college football selection watch party this year?
We could. Yeah, I'm down. So when would that be? That's next.
That would be next Tuesday. No,
Next Tuesday?
2 weeks. Yeah.
2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah, we could do something like that.
Yeah,
Talking about where we just stream all of us watching it, or what?
Yep. We all get into the live stream and we all just unfold together.
9-3.
That'd be. I'd be open to it probably. Yeah. Let me check that out. That'd be cool. Torres, anything last you want to say?
No, man. Continue to keep tuning in. We thank y'all very much for all the support. Also, thank y'all every time y'all come on, Kobe and Jackson. We love it.
Yes. Thank you guys for both joining us
Appreciate
today.
you having us.
Yeah, real fun episode. If you tuned in, if you commented, if you interacted with this live stream in any way, we appreciate it. If you're listening on podcast, thanks for listening that way. We got all our handles down here. Give us a follow over on Twitter, on X, whatever you want to call it. Subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere podcasts are located. And as always, we're going to keep coming back and giving y'all this. So as always, see you next time.
Boom, boom.